Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Monday. Monday. Time to get things rocking and rolling. And I thought, based on a lot of what I saw last week on Facebook, that it's well past time to sort of demystify how to make money this week, actually, possibly today, starting from nothing, with no money, with no credit, with no buyers list, no properties under contract, literally nothing. Okay, because each and every person that's on here can actually do that. And the reason that I know that you can do that is because not only have I done it, I've also had JVPs that have gone through our courses and coaching that have done the exact same thing. So I want to go ahead and, before we get rocking and rolling here, make sure, can you guys hear me okay? If you can, if you're on GoToWebinar, there's a question box on the right-hand side. I hate to have to do this. Jerry, I see that you've already made a comment. Can you hear me? Is the sound okay? Blown out? Not enough? Anybody? If you're on Facebook Live, let me know there. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I hate to have to do that, but these things always change the audio so that just for whatever reason it doesn't seem to come out right. So, okay, let's talk about what we're talking about here today. We're talking about how to help you guys make money. The easiest, fastest possible way that you can do it in real estate investing, bar none, without all of the other crazy nonsense that you have been told and sold over the years, okay? So, purpose of this webinar is simply this. People unnecessarily overcomplicate things, okay? And I see it time and time again. You see it with all the questions that get asked in these Facebook groups. Just they for some reason, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just too much information. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is, but they end up overcomplicating things to the point that they get stuck. And as a result, you need to understand something, and this is a thing I have to impress upon all of my students, my coaching clients, my JVPs, etc., that in sales in general, regardless of what the industry is, but especially in real estate, time kills a deal, okay? So let that sink in. Time kills a deal. What does that mean? That means two things. Number one, it means that you have zero time to waste. Once you have got that little spark that's ignited the little piece of tinder and it's starting to smoke, you have zero time to waste to get that fire burning. It means you have to be the ramrod, all right? And what that means is once there is the smell of blood, in other words, the smell of money, once you smell it, you have got to push like hell to make sure that you're getting to the finish line as fast as humanly possible. Do not wait on other people. Do not delay. Do not hesitate. Don't get involved in these things like with these title companies where you're waiting and you're like relying on somebody else's information and what they're going to do. Don't do those things. You've got to ramrod. You guys know what a ramrod is, right? You've got to constantly push that thing to get that deal closing because nobody cares about the deal more than you do, okay? And the other thing you don't want to do here, like I said, is don't overcomplicate things. Real estate, as complex as it can be, and it depends on what type of strategy you're using and contract structures and all that kind of stuff, it can be extremely complicated, but the basis of every single deal, you need to understand this, okay? The basis of every single deal is two people having a conversation, okay? That is the starting point of every transaction. It's no more complicated than that. All we're trying to do is we're trying to get to a meeting of the minds. And once we've gotten to a meeting of the minds, okay, and a meeting of the minds means, okay, yes, we've agreed in principle that what we're going to do is we are going to enter into some type of a real estate transaction, purchase, sale, option, whatever it is, subject to master leases, whatever your deal is, commercial. We're going to enter into some type of an agreement, okay? That's as complicated as a real estate deal is right there, okay? That right there is your tipping point. From that point on, once you have that meeting of the minds, that agreement in principle that you're moving forward with something, the only thing left is, now we're dealing with dotting the I's and crossing the T's and massaging the numbers and massaging the terms and all these things or whatever it is. But the most important thing is that initial conversation to get to the meeting of the minds so that you can then get to all of the other stuff that you can hammer out, okay? So it's not necessary to overcomplicate things up front. And I see people do this every single day. If you guys have ever listened to the podcast where you listen to me on, I do actual live calls, the recorded calls with buyers, sellers, mortgage brokers, realtors, you name it. It's all on there, totally transparent. You can see exactly how deals go down. And I have a very simple, methodical path. It's a professional sales script. It's not always in the same order because it's done in a conversational style. It's very fluid based on how the conversation goes. But I have a direction that I am taking that prospect in, which is where I want them to go, which is where they want to go to once they have the correct information. Okay, they don't always have a correct understanding when you get them on the phone. And your job as an investor / salesperson, which is really what you are, is to help them, make a new decision based on new information. It's not to change their mind. It's not to bamboozle them. It's to make sure that they get educated. You're going to be, because you're the expert, you're going to educate them so they can make that new decision, which is, the initial decision is no. So we're going to get them to make a new decision, which is yes, based on new information that they don't have and an understanding that they don't have, okay? Now, that's the crux of every real estate deal right there. It's that initial conversation to get to the meeting of the minds that, yes, I'm interested. Yes, I want to move forward. Now we get down to the nitty-gritty and the details and all stuff. But other than that, don't overcomplicate it. You don't need to have, and I see people do this all the time where they want to drink through the fire hose and they want to have every understanding that's humanly possible of every contract structure, every term, every clause, every this, every. It's not necessary, people. Every person that's listening to my voice right now can literally do a real estate transaction this week and make $25,000. Okay? Yes, you can. Okay, I know you probably think you can't, but you got to get that out of your head because I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. I'm going to show you how I've done it time and time and time again, starting with nothing. Now, this is one of the major problems that people have. You guys are listening to a Facebook Live, you're listening to a webinar, and eventually a podcast. And what happens is I get a bunch of bobbleheads on here that they sign up, they register. Okay, it's the next bright shiny object. I'm going to learn something. I want to, I'm a go-getter. I'm going to finally do it this time. All this kind of stuff. But then, while you're on here, you're screwing around on Facebook. You're not paying attention. You're not taking notes. You're not here doing, what you're supposed to be doing, which is getting yourself educated so that you can improve your situation. And that's not everybody, but I will say, because if you guys don't know this, when you do go to a webinar and you do some of these other platforms or whatever it is, they give you the statistics because your computer's logged in. Okay, it's telling us what you're doing while we're talking, what the engagement rate is. If you're off screwing around on Facebook or whatever, it lets us know all of that information. So I know who's doing what and what they're doing while we're communicating. And what it does is it shows who's serious and who's not serious. Okay. So if you guys want to make money this week and every week, okay, not just this week, you need to not do these things, okay? You need to make sure that you take action, okay? That's the most important thing that you can do. Second most important thing you can do is take consistent action. And this is what most people don't do, especially when it gets quote-unquote hard, okay? And sometimes in business things get hard, right? And my advice to you on that is suck it up, buttercup, because it's just part of it. Harder it gets, that means that's the closer you are to success. You got to understand how the universe and business works. Consistent action, even if you're not getting results, is getting you closer to the results that you're looking for. Let me give you a perfect example. Okay, I'm going to give you a perfect example. About, I don't know when this was, 1999, okay? When I first got into mortgage banking, right, I went and I had been selling physical products. I've been selling, manufactured housing, mobile homes, whatever it is, and was ace at that, made a ton of money. And then I got into selling an intangible for the first time. Not really for the first time, but for the first time as trying to do it to make, 6 or 7 figures. An intangible, and that intangible was a mortgage, okay? And to make matters worse, it was in a boiler room and it was like over the phone, right? So it wasn't face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball, elbow to elbow, where I had the ability to actually read people, okay? When you're doing face-to-face sales, it's much easier to read people, their actions, their reactions. It's much easier to build rapport because you can see what they're wearing, what they drove up in. much easier to have some type of, when you talk about building rapport, it's some sort of human thread connection. You've got something in common, right? And so those things are a lot easier. When you're on the phone with somebody, it's not that easy, right? It's very, very challenging to do that. So you have to be very adept at that. So I get into mortgage banking, and take this the right way for what it's worth. I'm a go-getter, and I don't accept failure. Okay, when I fail, and I fail a lot, I fail fast, and I figure out what doesn't work, and then I continue moving forward to win, because that's what winners do. Now, I'm not patting myself on the back. I want you to understand this, because in this situation, you need to understand what we're talking about here. So I get into this business, and I'm in a boiler room. If you guys know what a boiler room is, it's a big call center thing. And I'm in a cubicle, first time in my life. Well, actually, second time in my life. And phone's ringing, whatever it is, I'm doing stuff. And I just don't like it, right? So I go home, and I'm talking to my wife, and this is very much unlike me, okay? Very much unlike me, but I just really didn't like it. And so I'm pissing and moaning, crying like a little baby, I don't like it, boo-hoo, oh, woe is me, all this kind of stuff. And so what my wife says to me, which was fantastic, is exactly what I needed to hear. And those of you who have, fantastic spouses and partners, and sometimes they give you the tough love, whatever. She says to me, Vincent, she says, you don't like it because you're not good at it. Get good at it, and then determine whether or not you like it, right? And I wanted to bend steel when she told me that, because I was like, I just want to quit. I don't want to keep doing this anymore, right? I don't want to get good at it. I just want to get out of this thing and move on to something else that I do enjoy, that I do like. And so the best way to liken that is that for those of you who have ever played golf, okay, we're talking about action, consistent action, right? The proven steps to success. Those of you who ever played golf, the first time you ever go out there with a golf club, if you've never played golf, let me explain to you how it works. And it works this way for everybody because we're all human. There is no such thing as a natural at golf, okay? I don't care who you're, not Tiger Woods, not anybody else. There's nobody that's a natural at it, right? So you go out there and you try to hit the golf ball, and you're swinging, and I can tell you this, it's so ridiculously infuriating and embarrassing, and you miss the golf ball. You whiff it, you hit divots, behind, in front of the golf ball, and you go 10 feet in the air. You hit it, it goes sideways. You slice it, you hook it, whatever it is, and it's like you just want to break that golf club in half. Okay, and that's what happens to everybody. And so, what do you have to do? It's exactly like business. It's exactly like real estate and learning something new. Well, you can, like what I wanted to do was quit. I want to quit because it sucks. I don't like it. Or you can suck it up, buttercup, and just keep hitting. You got to keep swinging. You got to keep swinging, right? Keep swinging. And eventually what happens is, okay, whether by talent or by, sheer luck, you finally get that club face, and it hits the ball, and it goes, 180 yards down the fairway, and it's a beautiful straight shot, and it's the first time you've been in the fairway, and you feel like all jacked up, right? And you're like, wow, that was fantastic, okay? Now I want to do that again, and then it becomes addictive. Doesn't matter now that you're hitting it, 10 times and 10 terrible times to make one good shot. You made that one good shot, and now that's what you got to do. That's the same exact thing you've got to do here in real estate investing or any business, no matter what it is. Okay, on internet marketing, whatever you guys are doing, it's the exact same thing. So back to the story in mortgage banking. So I got mad. I wanted to bend steel. I'm like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to keep doing this. So I said, okay, you know what? I sucked it up, and I said, I'm going to be the very best at this that I possibly can be. And we'll see what happens. Well, that was the best advice my wife could have given me at that point, because I went in with the right mental attitude as opposed to the wrong mental attitude, and became excellent at it, the number one guy, and eventually led me to generating over $1 million in revenue, okay, in a year, originating mortgages. Imagine that, okay? So from, struggling to make $100,000 to generating over $1 million in revenue in a single year. And it was all because of what you're looking at right here. I took action, I took consistent action, and I followed proven steps to success. And this is what most people will not do. Now, what they will do is post a succession of idiotic posts that have nothing to do with their lives on Facebook nonstop, okay? Nonstop, cat videos, all this other stuff, okay? And I'm going to show you in a second here why that's important. So let's talk about this. Who is this for? People that want to make money quickly, easily, and 100% virtually, Okay, I'm going to show you how to do all this stuff without ever having to leave the house. Okay, and I mean that sincerely because I don't. People who don't want to drive around. Does anybody enjoy driving around, looking at having to look for houses, looking at houses, having to meet people, all that kind of stuff? I don't want to do all that. Okay, people who don't want to clear titles. You guys like wasting time clearing titles to get paid? I don't like it. That's why I don't do it. It's not necessary. I'm going to show you how to get around it, get away from it, to make money without doing that at all. Okay? People who don't want to wait on future closings to get paid. In other words, the standard real estate transaction, whether it's a conventional purchase and sale agreement with a mortgage on a retail deal, whether it's a contract assignment deal, whether it's a wholesale, whatever it is, you're always waiting on some future closing and waiting for whatever the next shoe to drop is going to be that's going to stop you from getting paid. I don't like that. I like to be in control. Okay, so if you don't like to wait on future closings to get paid and you want to be in control, this is for you. Okay, people who don't want to meet people, who don't want to see houses, who don't want to wait on inspections or appraisals or title work or any of the other nonsense that you have to wait on to close a real estate transaction, this is for you. Also, for people who don't want to be tied to a local micro market with loads of competition. So, who am I talking about here? Talking about all the quote-unquote wholesalers, right? All of you guys, or 99% of you guys, are all trying to cut each other's throat in the same market where you're all sending the same stupid letters to the same list, and, you have zero control over who's going to get the deal, whether or not you're going to get the deal whatsoever, because you guys are all doing the same thing, and it's all overloaded, and it's all oversaturated. Most of you guys are doing things the wrong way because you've been taught wrong by all these stupid courses that are out here, okay? And it's not necessary, okay? One of the biggest constrictions, the biggest problems in real estate investing for the average person is that they are tied, just like a realtor, to a local micro market. Okay, and in that local micro market, you're going to have a bunch of other people just like you. And why do you want to fight that battle? It's not necessary. What if you could go into a market where there is no competition? Wouldn't that be better? Okay. What if you go into 10 markets, okay, instead of one? Wouldn't that be better? Of course it would be better. Okay, you'd have that much more opportunity to do stuff and still get paid. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. All right. And also for people who don't want to spend money on marketing. Now, let me explain this so it makes sense. I do not and have not. Well, I'll qualify this so it makes sense, right? I have only spent money on marketing for real estate one time, okay? And that one time was in 2008, and it was when I ended up contracting on, I had a number of new construction builders where I did blanket contracts, on the multiple subdivisions that they have, where they had a bunch of spec inventory. You guys were around in 2008, the whole housing crisis and all that stuff. So they had overbuilt. They had all the spec inventory out there. They're trying to move. They can't sell it. So we contracted to do owner finance deals on all their stuff. And the only time I've ever had to spend money for any type of marketing for real estate was 2008. And I paid for a bunch of really expensive, beautiful, they were fantastic, aluminum bandit signs. They were all like screen printed, and it was like a 24 by 36, almost like a movie poster, bandit signs. And the reason that I did that was we stuck them out in front of all of the houses in the new construction subdivisions, and we had a ton of them. And the purpose there was because in that situation, and I don't like to look at, quote unquote competition, but in that situation, the on-site realtors, the agents for the new construction seller, were supposed to be referring anybody that wasn't qualified to me, okay, so that I could take it from there. Well, of course, they don't want quote unquote competition either, and so they weren't doing that. And so we said, okay, to hell with it. We're going to stick a sign out in front, a for sale sign, owner financing sign out in front of all of the houses and the model home and everything else, just like they typically do in a new construction subdivision, and it worked beautifully, okay? Now, that's the only time I've ever done it, and it was only in that specific instance. Since 2008, I have not spent dime one on any type of real estate marketing other than we used to use Postlets, if you guys are old enough to remember Postlets. Postlets was free, and then they got bought out by, I can't remember who it was, Zillow or Truly or somebody. and they stopped allowing the owner finance posts, and so we ended up having to use V-Flyer, which was like a paid thing. It was like, I don't know, I can't remember how much. It was $50 a month or something, so that you could get all the different little things that were out there. And that's the only time I've ever spent money on marketing. In that situation, the only reason that I did the V-Flyer thing is because we were running the JVP program, and when they shut our Postlets account off for that type of transaction, because people had paid me and they were promised something, I then had to follow through on doing that. But personally, for me, I don't spend money on marketing. Okay, you don't have to either. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that so you don't have to. Now, based on all those traits, does any of that sound like you? Does that sound like what you want? Okay, here, let me go back to them again just real quick, just so we can cover it one more time. By the way, if you guys have questions, make sure that you guys go ahead and load them up either in Facebook or in the questions section on GoToWebinar. All right, so you want to make money easily, quickly, 100% virtually. You don't want to drive around. You don't want to clear titles. You don't want to wait on future closings to get paid, right? You don't want to have to meet people, see houses, wait on inspections or appraisals or title work. You don't want to be tied to a local micro market with loads of competition. You want a lot of freedom so that you can have, you can make money regardless of what's going on in your local market, and you don't want to spend money on marketing. If that sounds like you, okay, let's get started. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly what to do. Now, before we begin, let's dispel the myths and urban legends surrounding real estate. Okay, so let's talk about what those are for a second. All right, so myths. And before I get into this, let me explain this. Some of these are actually not myths, but it's myth as an overall overarching thing, because it's not true 100%. But for some deals, it is true. So let's talk about that. Closing real estate deals takes a long time. That is a myth. No, it does not. Okay, you've been conditioned to think that because of XYZ, but it does not take a long time. Even on a conventional purchase deal. Okay, let's talk about standard vanilla purchase deal. You could go to contract on a property today, have the title work and appraisal done by Wednesday, all the underwriting in and done, and literally close Thursday or Friday. Okay, if you had cooperation from all of the parties. The problem that you run into nowadays is that you don't have cooperation from all of the parties. Back in the day, we're going back to the late 90s, early to mid 2000s up to 2008, you had cooperation from parties, and we could turn deals literally in 72 hours. Okay, I'm talking about standard vanilla deal. I'm not talking about any type of real estate creative financing strategy or anything like that. I'm talking about a standard guy wants to buy $800,000 new construction property. You've got the contract, whatever. You could turn that deal literally start to finish and close in 72 hours. Okay, if again you had cooperation from all parties. Nowadays, they've done everything they can to overcomplicate the process, and you don't have cooperation from people, and you got all these other little minions that are in the way with your title companies and all this kind of stuff. And so unnecessarily deals are taking a long time. When you're doing the strategies, I'm going to show you 4 different strategies here in a second that cost no money, that don't require all those things we just talked about. They do not take a long time. You can literally, and you need to listen to this, you need to pay attention, you can literally start with nothing today. What time is it? It is 12:25 Eastern time. So literally I could start with nothing today. You can too. Find one half of the deal, which I'll show you in a second. You get the other half of the deal, close, and get a wire today. Okay? Yes, you can. That's how long it takes. And the beauty of that is because you're in control. Okay? So, other myth, closing real estate deals is hard. Well, it can be, especially when you're dealing with these minions at the title companies that are doing everything they can to try to kill your deal, or incompetent mortgage underwriters or mortgage loan officers or brokers or whatever it is. Yeah, they can be really hard. Okay, they can be really hard because you're having to deal with all these third parties and you don't have control, and that's one of the biggest reasons. Okay, but doing deals the way that I'm going to show you, it's not hard. Okay, it's as simple as doing a lease essentially. Closing real estate deals is expensive. No, it's not. It doesn't have to be expensive at all. It doesn't have to cost anything, as a matter of fact. Okay, my total expenditure, my total cost to do a real estate transaction, which what I'm about to tell you isn't even necessary for any of you, but my total expense on a monthly basis for that is $24 a month for Podio, because I've got everything built out into Podio, so I can generate a contract with a push of a button. Does it automatically. And then $49 a month for right signature, which is I have integrated into Podio, so I can generate the contract and then send it via right signature instantly with 2 clicks of a button, and I don't have to go through and manually do contracts because it's an unbelievable time waster, especially when you're doing volume. Okay, so my total cost is, what is that, $73 a month. Okay, that's my total cost to do 1 or 1,000 real estate transactions. Doesn't make a difference what the number is. Okay, that's my total cost. There is no other cost because I don't have to pay for marketing. All right, closing real estate deals takes money and or credit. No, it does not. Now, some deals do, yes, depending on your deal type. If you're going to go get a conventional mortgage, then yeah, you got to have money and credit. But to close a real estate deal of many different types, you don't have to have money or credit. I can show you, at least a dozen, probably 2 dozen different real estate strategies that require none of your money or credit. Okay, and matter of fact, you can do these gigantic commercial multifamily deals with none of your own money and none of your own credit. Okay, so you need to understand that there's nothing in your way except for what's going on in your brain. Okay, that and your inability to take action, consistent action, and to follow proven steps to success. Understand that. Okay, the issue that you have is the 6 inches between your ears and the person that you stare at in the mirror. It's not the market. Okay, it's not the market. Until the next greatest depression happens, God forbid, but that's kind of the direction it's going in. Until that happens, the only thing stopping you from making money in real estate day in, day out is you. That's it. Nothing else. It's not the lending. It's not the market. It's not any of those things. It's just you don't know what you don't know. Okay, that's why you're on here. And then you're not taking action. You're not taking consistent action, and you're not following, again, proven steps, documented steps in order to get to what you want. All right. This is for all you wholesalers out there. Closing real estate deals requires finding, quote unquote, I hate this term because it's idiotic, motivated sellers, right? All sellers are motivated, by the way, otherwise they wouldn't be selling. The key difference is they may not be motivated in the way that you want them motivated, which is for them to take a 30 to 35% haircut on a property because it's idiotic, and why would they want to do that, right? Not saying they won't, but those people are in a, what you should say is, duressed sellers, really is what it should say, that are willing to sell 65, 70% of ARV or FMV. I'm going to touch on this for a second. If there are no repairs required, ARV only, just so you guys understand this, ARV means after repair value. Okay, it only applies to rehabs. You understand that? It does not apply to a standard turnkey retail deal. On that, it's FMV, which stands for fair market value. That would be the appraised value or the value based on, basically a CMA, comparable comparative market analysis. That's what FMV basically would end up being. Okay, so I see these people all the time talking about, it doesn't need any repairs. ARV is this. No, that's wrong. There is no ARV if there are no repairs, because it stands for after repair value. All right, and other myth, I can't start with nothing and close a deal and get paid same day. Yes, you can. Matter of fact, I can't remember when this was, probably 2013. I think it was 2013. I did a video called 8K Same Day, and it was on how I turned a deal start to finish the same day and had $8,000 wire. It was actually total of $9,600, but $8,000 that day in a wire. Okay, starting with nothing in the morning. Now, from that time, after that time, I've done up to like 25 grand same day. Okay, and you guys can do the exact same thing. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. All of those myths are false. Now, they can be true, like I said, for certain deal types, but for what we're going to show you here, they're false. It's not an overarching truth as it relates to real estate as a whole. Okay. But see, that's not what you've been told and sold, right? You got to do 27 hoops and all this other nonsense and gyrations and blah, 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 blah to get a deal done. And that is not true. Now, here comes the ugly truth that none of you guys are going to want to hear, right? You ready? Here it comes. It's going to be painful. I'm about to say a 4-letter word. So if you got kids in the room, earmuffs, here it comes. It's the one word bump, 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 you don't want to hear. You ready? You think you can handle it? Here it comes. Because it's vital to your success. It's called work. W-O-R-K, work. Right? Nobody wants to do work. What they want to do is get on a webinar, buy some, newfangled, bright, shiny object course and get paid. Okay? What everybody's looking for, not everybody, but most people are looking for, they're not looking for the actual solution. What they're looking for is a new course that they can pay for. And the expectation is that once they do that, they're going to suddenly have an annuity that pays them $10,000 a month without them having to do anything. And that is not the reality for myself or anybody else as it relates to real estate investing. So understand that for what it is, okay? It is going to take work. Now, you got to make the determination. You see, here's from my perspective in doing, courses and coaching and all this, excuse me, working with thousands of people, what I see people do, all right, and a lot of you guys are going to be convicted by your own conscience with this, and it is what it is. So understand it for what it's worth. Have some self-awareness, as Gary Vaynerchuk says. Don't lack self-awareness. Be aware of your own personality traits, your own flaws, your own everything, so that you know what you need to work on and what's hindering you. I see people do this all the time. They will work, 40, 50, 60 hours for an employer. Okay? They will work for Mark Zuckerberg for free by posting all kinds of, free idiotic content so that he can get paid ad revenue, right? I can show you some people here, say how some of my own people that pay me every single month, I can show you some of the stupid things that they do. And I've told them over and over again, stop doing this. And the time that you're wasting posting these cat videos, you could be getting your brand out there, your message out there, getting deals going, whatever it is, but there's some sort of thing they can't control themselves. They got to post all these stupid memes and GIFs and, whatever the latest, I don't know, what's the thing of today? What's today? Today, all my newsfeed is Kobe Bryant and then this coronavirus nonsense, okay? Right? It says like they're posting over and over and over again. And who's that making money for? It's making money for Zuckerberg. It's not making money for you, okay? By the way, I got bad news for you. You're not going to save anybody on Facebook. So understand that for what it is. All right? So there's no way around the fact that you're actually going to have to work. Now, if you want to instantly pay attention. If you want to instantly make 5 figures this week, okay? This week, you know what 5 figures is? That's at least 10 grand, okay? And 6 figures this year or more, really up to you. You're going to have to work, right? Can we all get there on that? Can everybody agree with that? Does everybody believe that what I'm telling you is true, that you're going to have to work? If that's what you're looking for. Because I'm telling you, that's what you're going to have to do, okay? Now, it may not be worth it for you. I don't know. Maybe you're happy with whatever your situation is. But it's like I watched a Facebook Live this morning by a guy by the name of Jim Edwards who, for those of you in internet marketing, he is a partner with Russell Brunson in a thing called Funnel Scripts, and he's got a $10 million, they made over $10 million off of one funnel. And the whole tone and message of his Facebook Live today was grow or die. Okay? That's it. And that's the way business works. It's grow or die. Stagnation, you're going to get swallowed up and chewed out, spit up. That's it. So you're going to have to work. Understand that. Now, you may not want to work, but unfortunately, you're going to have to. Well, let me rephrase it. You don't have to. You just won't be successful. So that's up to you. And yeah, I know. Work is hard, right? But understand this. Work is hard. Being broke is hard, and you need to choose your hard, okay? Which hard do you want? Do you want to be broke, or do you want to be successful? Okay? You understand? You understand the difference? Hopefully you guys understand the difference. You're going to have to choose your hard. It's success. That really should say success is hard. I put work in there instead, but it should say success is hard, being broke is hard, choose your hard. Which one are you going to choose? Well, I'm going to choose success every single time, because being broke sucks, let me tell you. All right. Now, if you're willing to work to make $25K this week, let's continue. Well, otherwise, you can log off now. All right. And like I said, the GoToWebinar statistics will tell me how many of you guys drop off once you hear this, right? You understand what I'm saying? So if you're willing to work, and I mean actually work, that doesn't mean keep doing the stupid stuff that you're doing. I'm trying to be ugly or condescending. I'll show you in a minute here on Facebook what I'm talking about. But if you're willing to work to make $25,000 this week, let's continue. If you're not willing to work, if you're not willing to change your pattern, if you're not willing to stop wasting time posting cat videos and whatever the outrage of the day is on Facebook and all that stuff, and listen, let me clarify this. I love a good GIF and meme as much as anybody. Okay, post them all the time. Okay, but it's part of my branding because I make money off of Facebook. Only reason I'm on Facebook, I've said this time and time and time again for the last decade, is I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. And I have it very well monetized. And that's what you should do too. Okay, now the beauty of it is I get to make a lot of friends along the way. Okay, so there's a nice byproduct of it. But the whole purpose is money. That's it. Nothing else. And that's exactly what it should be for you because that's the whole purpose of the platform. And if you don't think that, take a look at how much money they're making off of all the Facebook ads. Making an absolute fortune. Off of content that, guess what? You work for free, but you ain't getting paid. So you need to make sure you have it monetized. All right, so here's what you're going to learn. I got to move something out of the way here because I can't see my own slide. All right. Hang tight 1 second, guys. I'm going to move these things out of the way. Okay. All right, so you're going to learn how to start with nothing and close a deal and get paid same day. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly how I have done it time and time and time again. Now, I will clarify this. Does that happen every single day? No, it does not. Okay, I'm going to show you when and why it happens, how to make it happen, and then how to make it happen more regularly than non-regularly. Okay, how to spend no money in marketing. On marketing, whatever. On marketing. How to never clear a title. We ain't got time for that. How to never close with a title company or a real estate attorney. All right. And so you guys understand something. You need to understand what these people are doing. Now, I'm not talking about, a deal where you're trying to get title insurance, which is worthless, by the way. And you're closing with a title company or whatever it is on a standard vanilla, purchase deal where you're going through realtors and a mortgage company and all that stuff. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about deals on how you can get paid same day. But how to never close with title companies or real estate attorneys. And just so you understand something, on creative finance structures, owner finance deals and all that stuff, you never need a title company or a real estate attorney. Okay? Ever. Right? What do? You guys need to understand. They provide abstracting services, okay, where you can go direct to the abstractor or to the courthouse yourself. You don't have to hire a title company. They're not doing anything for you other than causing delay and adding expense. Okay, they provide signatory services. What does that mean? They have somebody that goes in there and signs, that helps them, walks people through the paperwork. You can do that yourself on owner finance deals. And they provide disbursement services, which means they're going to disperse funds. You don't need them for that. And the other thing they do is recordation, which means they're going to get somebody to run down to the courthouse and record the deeds. Okay, you don't need anybody for that too. I have mobile notaries that do that for me. It costs $50 to $75. Not a big deal. Or you can do it yourself if you're in the county that where the deal's being done. I never am, so I have mobile notaries take care of that stuff. All right. How to never wait to get paid. Okay, how many of you? I would imagine it's probably all of you, unless you're heavy into owner finance stuff. Have to wait on some future closing, especially you guys that are quote-unquote wholesalers. You're always having to wait to get paid, right? You got to wait on some future closing that you're not a party to get paid your assignment fee, which is ridiculous, and not the way it's done professionally, by the way. But you got to wait and wait and wait and wait, and maybe the deal goes through, maybe it doesn't, and meanwhile you're waiting and wasting time and whatever it is, blah, 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 and you got to wait to get paid after you've had to clear a title and do all this other monkey work that you shouldn't have to be doing. All right, how to control the entire process yourself. Let me explain this to you. For those of you who don't understand, there's nothing more important in sales and closing than control. And when you involve these third parties like these title companies, real estate attorneys, and other entities, okay, they don't care about your paycheck. Especially, and I'll tell you this because I've seen it time and time and time again. Title companies, these, and I don't mean this to be, gender, whatever it is. But, these girls that work at a title company for $15 an hour and they've seen you making 25 grand on a deal or 50 grand or 80 grand or 100 grand. In many cases, they get very contentious of that fact. And I've seen them over and over and over again go out of their way to kill your deal. Okay. It's happened to me many times. That's why I do everything I can to avoid them. Excuse me, at all costs. All right. So understand that for what it is. You want control and you don't want other fingers in your pie. And I don't mean just from a monetary standpoint. I'm talking about from a standpoint of access to your buyers, your sellers, communication, any impact on your deal. No, no, thank you. Right? The answer is no, thank you. All right. How to never leave the house. How to control the entire process yourself. How to never meet anyone. And how to pay full price. Okay, let's talk about this for a second because you guys are going to love this. How you can pay full price. Not 65, not the Mayo formula, 65, 70% of ARV and all that crap. How to pay full price and generate 4 different revenue streams. Now, who's done that? Anybody ever done that? If you have, leave me a comment. Let me know. Have you ever done a deal? Here, I'll tell you what, and I'll even go you one further. Let's take it 2 ways. I have done deals where I have paid full price, okay, no discount, and generated 4 different revenue streams. I'll tell you what they are in a second. And I have done deals where I have overpaid. I paid more than the actual value of the property because the property was underwater and still made money and generated 4 different revenue streams. I didn't include this as a slide, so let me show you what the 4 different revenue streams are real quick. Okay, so think about this for a second. So when you guys do a standard deal, all right, so if you're doing your standard deal, you're going to get what? You're going to get an assignment fee. You're going to get possibly, well, if it's not an assignment deal and it's a double closing, then you're going to get, a lump sum, and then you're done, right? And if you're doing if you're a long-term, buy and hold for cash flow investor, then you're going to get monthly cash flow, right? But depending on deal type, you're only getting one of these one time only. It's transactional. Okay, I mean monthly cash flow. Obviously, that continues month after month after month. But my point is that you're getting the monthly cash flow, and that's your one-time thing. Okay, so on the standard deal, you have one revenue stream. Standard real estate deal, you have one revenue stream. Okay, on what I'm going to show you, you're going to have 4 different revenue streams. The problem with, let me explain this to you. Problem with one revenue stream is that basically, other than the cash flow investors that are getting money, mailbox money every month, you're one and done, and you're transactional, which means that you got to start from ground zero on the first of every month. Okay, which is not fun. It's not pleasant to have to do that, and that's what all the quote unquote wholesalers have to do. And it's a grind, and it sucks, and you gotta, it's this constant feeding of marketing and all this stuff to keep your pipeline full if you understand pipeline management, and you're still transactional. You're still having to grind it out, whatever it is. You don't have freedom of time, location, and schedule because you got the grind. Same thing with, most of the other real estate strategy types, okay? So you got that one revenue stream, and you got to start from, day one every on the first of every month. You're going to have 4 different revenue streams. Okay, what are you going to have? You're going to have down payment. And this is only one strategy type that I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a couple different ones. Okay, but for this particular one, you're going to have down payment. That's upfront money that you get in cash. That's the $25,000 we're talking about this week. Okay, so pay attention. That's the $25,000 we're talking about this week, and I'm going to tell you what that $25,000 is based off of. Down payment, $25,000. Okay, you're also going to have, if it's structured properly. Here, when we talk about this, this is what we call today money. Okay, that's money that goes into what's called HIP National Bank this week. If you guys don't know what HIP National Bank is, it's your back pocket. HIP National. It goes right into your back pocket, okay, for you to spend however you want to. Next up, you're going to have monthly cash flow. Okay, and this is what we call monthly money. A lot of people call it mailbox money, but I don't take checks, so I don't get it in the mail. I get wires. Okay. Next up, you're going to have, if it's structured properly, principal balance reduction, and what that means is you're going to have principal balance reduction on the underlying note. Okay, that's not being paid by you. It's being paid by the buyer that you're selling to on the owner finance deal, and then you're going to have back end spread. Okay, and back end spread is the difference between what you bought or contracted on the property for was called a strike price, which in this particular example would be like 400 grand. And what you're going to sell the property for, which would be, let's say, 440 grand, depending on what the length of term of your balloon, if you have a balloon or however you're structuring the deal. Okay, so and this is what we also call future money. So with this one particular deal structure type, you get it all. Okay, you're getting upfront money today. That's the 25K. You're getting monthly money. That's the monthly cash flow. That's going to be, ideally no less than $200 per door at a minimum, if it's structured right. Principal balance reduction. This is not calculated into anything else because it's being paid for on a monthly basis out of the amortization from the buyer that you're selling to. So that's like free money for you. And then you're also going to get your back end spread. Okay. And basically 3 and 4 you could argue are the same thing because they both come at the future closing and they're both back end spread. But on day one, principal balance reduction does not exist as a revenue stream. Okay, it does. Well, let me qualify that so it makes sense. It exists as a revenue stream, but you don't know how much it's going to be as a total profit center because you don't know what the term of the deal is before they refinance. But that's 4 different revenue streams on one particular transaction. Okay. You do not get that in wholesaling. You do not get that on long-term buy and hold cash flow rental deals. You don't get that on actual wholesaling where you're doing double closes because that's one and done. You buy your beater house and you rehab it. You turn it into a masterpiece and then you sell it and you get paid one time only. Right? On these particular type transactions, you're getting up to 4 different revenue streams. Okay, depends on how you structure your contracts and make sure they're structured properly. So my question to you is, isn't that what you really want? I mean, would you rather have 1 income stream or would you rather have 4 per deal? Oh, and by the way, they didn't cost you anything. And oh, by the way, you didn't have to waste a whole bunch of time and energy horsing around title companies and waiting on closings and all this other nonsense, right? That's not how you do it, okay? So how to do a deal and get paid the same day. I'll tell you exactly how I've done it. I'm going to tell you how my JVPs have done it, whatever. There are a number of different variants that you can do. Owner finance, and then by owner finance, we are talking about, and I'll go ahead and add this on here now. There's a bunch of different variants that you can use. Okay, contract for deed, sub 2, which is basically a wraparound mortgage, grant deed, installment sales contract, bond for title, land contract, land trust. Okay. All right. Those are basically your owner finance variants. And on those deals, let me explain this to you how it works. We talk about not having to spend money on marketing, right? Not having to have any money out of pocket or credit. These are no money down. I've never put money down on any deal in 30 plus years. Not once. Why? It's not necessary. Okay? You don't have to do it. Don't use credit. I don't get my credit pulled, none of that kind of stuff on these types of transactions. I go in, I buy the property on contract, some variation of a contract. Most of the time, it's just a simple contract for deed. I don't need the deed. I don't care about the deed because it doesn't do me any, all I want is control. Okay? I just want to control the property. Now, if I can get the deed, then absolutely I'm going to take the deed, of course, right? But if it's get the deed and don't do the deal because the guy doesn't want to give up the deed, or don't get the deed but have control and do the deal and make money, I'll take that all day long. Okay, it doesn't make a difference to me. All I need is control. You guys understand that? Hopefully you understand that. So don't get deluded with this whole thing about that you got to have the deed on every deal and all that kind of stuff because you don't. All you need is legal control of the property, and you can do that with a contract for deed. Okay? Or installment sales contract, bond for title, land contract, land trust, whatever, blah, blah, blah. All of those things. Sub 2 is different because you do get the deed because you're doing a wraparound, what's called a wraparound mortgage. You are getting the actual deed on that. But for the rest of them, you don't need the deed. What's it going to do for you? The only thing a deed does, for you guys, just so you understand, if there's a security instrument in place, which there is almost always going to be, and a security instrument is either a security deed or an all-inclusive deed of trust tied to a mortgage from a lender. If there's a security instrument in place, the only thing the deed is going to do for you is 2 things, okay? let me rephrase that. There's only two things you can do if that's the case. One is pay the whole thing off, okay? And that way then there's deed conveyance to you. Or number two, the only thing the deed does, and this is where a lot of quote unquote homeowners don't understand the lack of value of actually having the deed, is it enables you to stay in a property longer after you have defaulted before the foreclosure and eviction happens. And that's it. There's no other benefit, okay? As long as I can force production of the deed, which I can on a contract for deed, I don't have to have the deed, okay? All I need is control. Same thing with all the other variants that are out there. I just need control so that when the time comes, I can force production of the deed. Now, if I can get the deed like on a sub-2 and a wrap, absolutely, I'll take it all day long, okay? We do, if you ever do short sales or anything like that, we always get the deed on those because I'm not going to waste time with 8 months with the lender's loss mitigation department and then have a seller pull a no-show at closing and we have no control. No, the answer to that's no. Okay, I've seen it happen many, many times to people, and then the answer is no. So, but on a standard conventional owner finance deal, you don't have to have the deed. So what does that do for you? That means that now you can send a contract, get it executed, and guess what? You own and legally control a property, even though you don't have the deed. Okay? Here, you know what? I'm gonna do a side thing here just so you guys understand. There are, for those of you who don't know, here, and I'll come back to the slide in a second. I want to make sure you guys understand this. There's two types of title. There's actually more than two. There's actually three, but we'll save the third one for another day. There's legal title, and there's equitable title, also known as, anybody know? Equitable interest. Okay? All right. So the deed conveys legal title and equitable title. Okay? Does that make sense? So when you have the deed, you have ownership of the property, in theory. And I say in theory because nobody ever owns any property because you take title of the property as a tenant, not as an owner, and that's a whole other tinfoil hat conspiracy truth that we can cover on another thing. But you have legal title and equitable title. You can have equitable title without legal title and control the property. That's what it does for me on a contract for deed where I don't have the deed. I don't need the deed. I've got what's called equitable title or equitable interest, okay? Which means what? Equitable interest, equitable title is a bundle of rights associated with the property, okay? That's all it is. There is no, by the way, there is no paper document in real estate called a title. You guys understand that? Titles that convey ownership are on vehicles, okay? Boats and RVs and all that kind of stuff, cars. It's not on property, okay? Property, there is no paper document called a title. Does not exist. There's no such thing. Title is a bundle of rights, or equitable title anyway is a bundle of rights. The piece of paper that conveys ownership interest is the deed, okay? And that's on legal title up here. So let's be clear on this. I can sign a contract with somebody today on a contract for deed, on a land trust, on an installment sales contract, bond for title, blah, 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 all these other things, land contract, and I will have equitable title to the property and total control of the property, and I can force production of the deed by paying off the property based on the terms in the deal, okay? So when we get back to how to do a deal and get paid the same day, don't think that you have to have the deed because you don't, okay? To legally sell the property, control the property, do improvements to the property, live in the property, whatever, okay? All you need is a properly drafted variant of one of these agreements up here. Now the sub-2, like I said, would be you would actually get the deed because you're going to do a wraparound mortgage on that. That's a little different animal. And if you can get it, obviously get it, but you don't need it. Okay, it's not necessary. I very rarely ever get them because it's not worth the battle with somebody when I can get control. If you guys don't know the expression in asset protection, it's own nothing, control everything. All I want is control. Okay, perception of ownership does nothing for me. All right. So next up, and when we talk about owner finance deals, what we're talking about are owner finance sandwiches. And essentially what that means is here's how you can do a deal and get paid the same day. Okay. And I'm going to go through it here in detail and show you the actual ads and things that you can place in just a minute. So you can do this like literally today. Is you're looking for two halves. Okay. right? It's like those what do they call those things? The like best friends forever little necklace medallion things that are like broken in half, but they're not cut like right down the middle. It's like cut at a jagged edge, and they put the two together, and now it's whole. You know what I'm talking about? That's what you're doing. Okay, you're finding one half, and then you're finding the other half, and you're putting the two together. That's exactly what you're doing. So you create the whole. All right. Next up, lease options, and let me back up for a second. On the owner finance stuff, what we're talking about is an owner finance sandwich. What does that mean? That means that I can buy a property today on contract with no cash, okay? No credit, no nothing. Simple contract execution, which how long does that take, right? I've done it in as little as, I think, 38 minutes is probably the fastest from the first time I talked to somebody. Literally, okay? Literally. Let me explain it to you so it makes sense. I got this guy on the phone. This goes back to, what was that? 2000 and I want to say 2013 probably. He's actually on the podcast too. I got to go back and pull. I can't remember which episode it is, but get the guy on the phone, talk to him for the first time, and in 38 minutes he's ready to proceed and execute the contract, and he did. And we got the property under contract that day, and the buyer saw the property that afternoon. Okay, that fast. That's how fast these deals can be done. And then all you do is you go to contract with the buyer. Bam, they execute, they fire the wire, and you are paid. Okay. Now, that's when you get to generate the 4 different revenue streams, okay? You get the down payment. That's today money. Goes into Hip National Bank. Then you go get your monthly cash flow, your principal balance reduction on the underlying note, and then your back-end spread when they finally refinance and cash you and the seller out, okay? Fantastic deal structures. All right, so that's what we're talking about there. Lease options, okay? And you need to know what you're doing with lease options before you go out there willy-nilly based on these stupid courses that are out there and just do lease options like they're the be-all, end-all of things they're not. But on a lease option sandwich, you can do the exact same thing. You can lease a property with the right to sublet, okay? Let me rephrase that. You can lease and option a property with the right to sublet the property and put yourself into a lease option sandwich where you're not required, based on the option, to exercise the option, so you don't ever have to buy in the event that your tenant optionee decides not to, but you can then collect an option fee up front today, okay, just like the down payment, and monthly cash flow on a monthly basis, and depending on how the numbers shake out, back-end spread. All right? Does that make sense? So 3 different revenue streams on a lease option sandwich. You're not going to have principal balance reduction unless that's a whole different animal that you would have another clause you'd have to add in there to be able to do that so that you're getting credit for the amortization on the underlying payments, okay? Next up, options, okay? A lot of people don't understand how options work. So you can option a property, okay? You guys understand what that means? Like, okay, I'm going to sign an option, and an option could be for $1, okay? Hey, I'm going to option this property, blah, blah, blah. Or you can do also here, I should probably put this in here. Hang on. Also, or what's called ROFR, okay, which stands for right of first refusal. Okay, and you can do that. And what that means then is that you have the option to purchase, you don't have to purchase, or you have right of first refusal, which means that if they get another offer in, they have to give you the ability to close first. And now you have something of value where you can then you can assign the option, okay, or the contract for the right of first refusal, or sell the property to somebody else and then exercise the option, okay, and then also get paid, depending on your contract structure. And then there's contract assignments, which everybody knows, but most people do them incorrectly. And let me explain to you what that is so it makes sense. Because most of the people that are out there that are doing quote-unquote wholesaling, no offense, but you're doing it wrong. And the reason that you're doing it wrong is because you do not wait to get paid on a contract assignment. Okay, now you can call it wholesaling while you're on it. It's not wholesaling at all. You're doing contract assignments. You're just doing them on properties typically that are going to be utilized for rehabs by investors. Okay. So the way that professional investors do contract assignments is the way I've done every contract assignment I've ever done. You get paid at the time of the assignment, not some future closing that may or may not happen. And the reason for that is is because if you read the language in the assignment contract, you are assigning all right, title, and interest in that contract at that specific moment. And if that's the case, why are you waiting to get paid? It makes absolutely no logical sense whatsoever. You've just given up all your rights at that point. Now, what can happen is, and this does happen, is that the person that you assign it to can then close and not pay you. How do you like that? Isn't that cool? And what are you going to do? Then you got to sue them, right? You got no money. And if you have no money, then you got to pay litigation to sue the people. That's why when you sign a contract, you get paid right then. You want the contract? It's like going down to Walmart, okay? If I want the little Power Wheels thing I bought for my daughter, I got to pay right then. It's not like I pay sometime later. No, I want to take Power Wheels and I want her to like ride around the neighborhood and have a good time, right? So I got to pay them right then. I don't have to. They don't wait for my money some later future date. And that's exactly the way it works with contract assignments, whether it's a quote-unquote wholesale deal, excuse me, or whether you're doing retail contract assignments, which are much easier, faster, or whatever it is, and you don't deal with all the nonsense that you do on the wholesale ones, okay? That's how you can do these things the same day. All right, we already covered 2 types of title. All right, to get paid, pay attention. This goes back to that little best friends medallion thing I was talking about. All you need is a buyer, a seller, and a contract. That's it, right? Does that make sense? Excuse me. It seems kind of a little simplistic and kind of the same way it is in every deal, right? But in this instance, to do a deal today, to do a deal this week and get paid, all you need is the buyer, the seller, and the contract. That's it. You don't need anything else. And the beauty of all this stuff is that they're all 100% free. They can all be gotten on the internet for free, the buyer, the seller, and the contract. And you don't ever even have to leave the house, okay? It's called virtual real estate investing for a reason. Because I have not been in a property or met anyone that I have done a real estate transaction with since 2008. And I've only done it one time in the last 13 years. And the reason for that one time was because it was a new construction property that I was doing an owner finance deal on. And it was about 15 minutes away from where I was at the time. And the buyer and the seller, let me rephrase that. The buyer and the builder wanted to do the kitchen island closing. Okay, that means basically we execute all the agreements on the kitchen island and checks get exchanged right then. And at that time, this is when I first got all this stuff going. That's okay. I'm like, the hell with it. I'm not going to not go get the money. So yeah, I drove 15 minutes. But since then, since 2008, okay, I have not been in a property or met anybody that I've done a deal with. And I've done deals all over the United States. So you're not tied to your local market. You don't have to go meet anybody. You don't have to go through all the shenanigans you have to go through on most of these transactions. You guys are killing yourselves. Let me see if I can make this make sense. I did this thing. I don't know. Let me back up. I got people like add me to groups all the time, right? Like I don't know why, but they add me to like these real estate groups. So I got added as one wholesale group about a week and a half ago. And people go in there and they pose these questions, and they got all these newbies that are out there. And there's nothing wrong with newbies because everybody was new once, myself included, where you don't know anything and you're trying to figure it all out and put all the pieces together and all that stuff. And they're asking all these questions, and you know they're trying to get going. They have limited budgets, all this kind of stuff, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to make money. And somebody comes in and says, "Well, if you had $2,500, and you're trying to get going in wholesaling, like what would you do, right? Like where are you going to spend the $2,500?" And so all these people, like, they start chiming in, blah, 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 do this, do that, buy probate lists, buy your bandit signs, get your flyers, do your yellow letter, get all this kind of stuff or whatever it is. And my advice was, hold on to your money. Number one, don't spend any money. Keep the $2,500, stay liquid, and don't do a wholesale deal, okay? Instead, do a retail deal, and you can do it with no cash, no credit, same day, not clear title, not wait to get paid. You don't have to go out there and find some big, build some big massive buyers list that you spam all the time, all this kind of crazy stuff. And the thread erupted with all of these people who had no idea what I was talking about. Okay. And I mean, in a good way. They were like, okay, well, whoa, tell me more about this. How do you do this? Okay. It's not rocket science, but the average people that are out there, all they hear about is wholesaling is the way to get started in real estate, and is the absolute worst way to get started in real estate investing. Okay. So understand that for what it is. Why would you go through all that and spend all that money when you can do deals for free from your house and not have to clear titles and not have to wait to get paid and have total control and generate all your leads on the internet? I mean, I've done deals literally while drinking wine, sitting on the beach, watching my kids play in the ocean. And it's not even a joke. The deal was the guy. He's one of my JVPs. His name is Chris Morin. We did this deal down. I was in. See, Jason is on Facebook. Says, yeah, I was on that post, thankfully, and that's how I found you. So there you go. He's on the Facebook Live right now, and it's just, guys, it's not necessary to go through all that stuff. Okay, listen, if you're new, and let me preface this by saying this. Okay, I sell courses, I do coaching, I do all that kind of stuff too. Okay, but I'm showing you here for free how to do all this stuff. You don't have to pay anything. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. If you want to hear it done live and in real time, not theory, not BS, not me on some stupid whiteboard. You want to hear live calls with buyers and sellers and exactly how deals go down, exactly what all the objections are, how to handle the objections, how do you go? There's one of the podcasts is, and I forget them because I can't remember all the titles, but one of them is no never means no. You guys, this is where on this particular deal, and I'll just share it with you so it makes sense. So we got one of my joint venture partners brought in a lead. The guy had $70,000 in cash. Now keep in mind that $70,000 in cash is ours. So that's the down payment. That's what we collect and keep up front. 70 grand in cash. This is in Colorado. The guy ran a legal, legit cannabis growing operation, and he needed a very specific property because of all of the restrictions. Like, if you guys haven't ever done anything with the cannabis industry, these guys, they can't be like within so many miles of a school. They got to have these charcoal filter scrubbers so people can't smell the pot plants in the warehouse and all that kind of stuff. And got to have I can't remember whatever the hell it is, kilowatts or whatever they had to have or amps or whatever for the power for the grow lights and all the other stuff. There was a whole list of stuff that we had to deal with. The podcast episode is No Never Means No, and you can hear this woman literally come over the table at us, okay, at me, literally, and tell us not only no, but hell no, she wasn't going to do an owner finance deal, right? And within 4.5 minutes, and this is why you guys need to believe in yourself, trust the process, and understand what it is you're doing. Make sure you get educated, because all I did was the 7-step sales process on her, okay? It's what I teach. It's what I show my joint venture partners how to do, and I followed it to a T, and she hit me. Number one, no, there's no way in hell I'm doing the owner finance deal. To, okay, I'll do an owner finance deal with $500,000 in cash down, which obviously we weren't going to do. And then within 4.5 minutes, dealing with every objection and all that stuff, I solved her problem, right? And okay, I'll do an owner finance deal with no cash down. Okay, you can hear that one. You can hear a bunch of other ones with no cash down. You can hear, there's another one where you can listen to it where we call this guy, and it's what I call a flip-flop deal, where not only does he want to sell us his house on an owner finance contract, but he wants us to help him buy one on an owner finance contract because he's self-employed and he's having to move locations. And even though he's got perfect credit and plenty of money, he still doesn't qualify because he's taking every legal tax deduction that there is, and his net income on a 1040 doesn't jibe with what they're looking for. And you'll see those people out there all the time. And so it's a 2-for-1 deal. Okay, so we get a contract on his house, and then we buy him another property and get a down payment there. So it's 2 down payments for one phone call that I think lasted a total of somewhere between 7 and 10 minutes. Okay, and so why you guys, and I want you to understand this, you guys, if we go through this, and this is not, I want to say so you understand, it's not that I'm trying to bash quote unquote wholesaling. It's not wholesaling, it's contract assignments. So let's clarify that, understand the actual vernacular. But it's not that I'm trying to bash wholesaling. What I'm trying to tell you is it's not what you've been sold or told, okay? It doesn't work that way. And so instead of beating your head against a wall and spending all kinds of time and money and effort and energy driving around, and then you got to beat some poor sucker up on a house to try to get him down to 65 or 70%, and then you got to shop that thing, like a pimp, to try to find some buyer that's looking for that specific model, because they don't teach you how to do things the right way, which is to go buyer first, not property first, which I'll explain here in a second too. And then you can't sell it, and then all of a sudden you got to find some, fraud, lies, whatever it is, to try to get out of the contract with the seller. And now he's 3-4 weeks down the road where he could have sold his home to somebody else, but he didn't because he trusted you. And the whole thing is just nonsense. Okay. And it's not necessary. You can literally today, if you'll follow my instructions, you can have people contacting you, okay, which I'll show you. I'm about to show you the ad right here in a second. Contacting you saying, yeah, I'm interested. They're going to hold their hand up and say, yeah, I want what you have, okay? Let's have a conversation for zero expense, okay? And then you get one half of the puzzle, one piece of the puzzle right there, and then you get the other piece of the puzzle, which is the property or the buyer, depending on which one you get first, and you're making money. And you send contracts out and you get a wire, same day. It's not that challenging. All right. So these are the things that you must do immediately and consistently. Okay. Well, thank you for saying that, Andrew. Andrew says your podcasts are badass. I've been listening to them nonstop since I found out about it a week ago. Well, thank you for saying that. They're real, man. But it's as real as it gets. And in some of them, there's one you want to hear me get my teeth kicked in. I do them total transparency. You hear the good, the bad, the ugly, the whole, no nonsense. It's not all everything pie in the sky. There's one called, I think it's called Bug Meat Windshield, where, I basically get my teeth kicked in, on a deal. But you know what? It is what it is. It's a numbers game. And then we move on to the next one. But the majority of them, they don't end up that way. When you're dealing with the general public, sometimes you deal with some crazy people like me, but only worse. Imagine that. So, these are the things that you must do immediately and consistently, okay? And I'm going to guarantee you that most people are not doing this, okay? And I'm going to show you, as a matter of fact, what I'm talking about. Most important thing is you got to let people know what you do, okay? What do I mean by that? Let people know what you do. Well, scroll all the way down to the very next, almost to the bottom two. Friends and family. Do all of your friends and all of your family know what you do and what you're looking for? In other words, do they know that you buy houses? Okay, that's friends and family. They all should know what you do because they are the people that care about you the most. They should have taken an interest to find out what you're doing, right? And that way, if something comes down the pike that they know about, guess what? There's an instant referral. Do they not? If they're not, okay. What about everybody that you come in contact with? Right? And I'm talking about, you go to the dry cleaner, you go to your favorite restaurant and you see the waitress, you get your hair cut, right? Let me tell you something. Barbershops and hair salons, one of the best referral sources you're ever going to get, because all they do is sit there and talk to people all day long, okay? About all kinds of stuff. And you get hooked in with one of them as a referral source or a bunch of them as a referral source, you'll have deals coming out your ears, okay? Because that's all they do is sit there. They have a captive audience and they just sit there and chirp, 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 whatever it is, okay? But you got to let people know what you do. And I tell you what, if you want to know if you're following along with this, let me show you something here. I'm going to actually bust some people out. Now, I don't care because I busted them out to their face. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Let's see if I can find it. I'm going to find one of my JVPs on here that's not listing. So I guarantee he's going to be on here quick, because it's non-stop. Oh, here he is right here. Okay. Now, I love this guy. His name is Clint Looper. I'm busting you out, Clint, to your face. Okay. And Clint wants to be successful in real estate investing. Okay. But it's nonstop idiotic posts like this all day long. How is this helping him make money? It's not. Okay. You guys understand? You see what he's doing here? Now, take a look at my screen right now so you understand. Who is making money off of the time that he took? Does this have anything to do with somebody selling him a property? Or somebody saying, a buyer saying, hey, I'd like for you to buy me a property? No, it does not. Okay? And I've told them to his face, I'm like, you got to stop doing this, man. Okay? And if instead of doing this, if you would be constantly barraging your news feed with what you do, how people can help you and how they can get paid, how you can joint venture, how you can do all these things, right? You'd be making an absolute fortune. But instead, like so many other people, and if I keep scrolling down, I can show you person after person after person that's paid me money and then won't listen. Okay, and this is what they end up doing, this kind of stuff. Now, who's getting paid here? Guess who's getting paid? Mark Zuckerberg. Why? Clint took whatever time this took. Okay, I don't know, 30 seconds, whatever it is, whatever time he wasted finding whatever this thing is, right? And what do we got over here on the right-hand side? We got Ring Central. They're advertising. We got, who is this? Traffic and Funnels, the Ads Workshop. They're advertising. They're paying to advertise. Facebook Marketplace is over here trying to get paid. And if I scroll down even further, okay, so here's another ad right here. Closer memes. Okay. All right. You see what I'm saying? All right, I'm going to actually share this one because this is my wife's. Share that. Okay. But we make money off that. So I'll share that one. But, you know, if I go down here, and this is what most people, okay, here we go again with the Kobe thing. Horrible. I'm not saying it's not horrible, whatever. But, you know, it's not making you any money. Okay. If you guys, okay, so here's another ad for some kind of toy photography thing, Marvel character deal. Okay, blah, blah, blah. All right, so here's my wife again. Okay, but we make, again, making money off this. She has a website that she gets paid for. People pay her for this kind of, to actually do these things, okay? When you see me sharing this stuff, I'm sharing this stuff to get more engagement for her because that's how we make money, because we're making money off of Facebook, right? So here's another guy, Lightspeed. You guys know what Lightspeed is? If you don't know what Lightspeed is, this used to be what Grant Cardone had his entire platform on until I think last year. So now they're advertising, okay? Because Grant moved over, I think, Kajabi or somebody else. All right, and then what do we got? Rob Swanson. You guys know Rob Swanson, I'm sure, okay? What's Rob doing here, though? Take a look. Okay, this is perfect. This is Rob. You guys know Rob? All right? You ought to know Rob, okay? What's he doing? Is he posting idiot cat memes? No. What's Rob doing? He's doing exactly what you guys should be doing. He's pimping his business. I don't mean he's pimping it. I'm just saying he's out here trying to attract more customers, more clients, whatever it is. That's exactly what you guys should be doing. I know what he does. Why? Because it's in all of his posts, other than when he's doing his, he recently got his pilot's license not too long ago. And so he shares some of his flights, which is also interesting and part of brand building, but whatever. Okay. So if you keep going through this stuff, all this stuff does is, okay, here's yet another ad, right? All this stuff does is feed Zuckerberg. It's paying Zuckerberg for instead of you. Okay, so here's Courtney Reed, right? What's he doing? Posting something in his group. This is a good thing, okay? Building brand, brand recognition so that eventually he can launch his own course and all that. And you just go through this stuff and you see person after person. Okay, so here's another ad. Person after person after person is there, you know, all this stuff that is just meaningless, and it's not monetized, and it's not making any money. And what does it do? It's some sort of endorphin rush that you get for posting to Facebook. I mean, and here we go again with more memes. And trust me, I love memes. I'm probably the biggest meme thief and gift thief there is. Okay, but okay, so Dow's down over 500 points in the first minute. How is that? Okay? And so what? What does that mean? How's Ed? How are you making money from that? You're not. You don't have it monetized, right? So you guys understand the time that you spend and that you waste on this stuff. Okay, you're robbing yourself, your kids, your family, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your non-binary, whatever person, whatever you got going on, of life, okay, and income that you could be making, when instead people should know who you are and what you do so they can find ways to pay you, okay? And by pay you, I mean send you referrals, do business with you, do deals with you, whatever. So if you guys want to make 25 grand this week, and I'm not saying that you're all going to make 25 grand this week, so let me clarify that. I'm saying you all can, but I'm going to tell you what it's going to take. These are the things that you must do, and you must do immediately and consistently. Okay, you got to let people know what you do. Okay, if they don't know what you do, you're in trouble. Okay, you need to fix that quickly. Stop posting the cat videos. Okay, post, hey, I buy real estate. Okay, I take over payments. I blah blah blah, whatever it is. Okay, I no banks needed, owner financing, all this other stuff, whatever. I wholesale houses. Anybody that has a house to sell, let me know. Whatever your thing is. They got to know who you are. I mean, you get the greatest social media platform in existence at your fingertips for free, but you're not using it to monetize it for yourself. Okay. Like I said earlier, for those of you guys that didn't hear, I'm on Facebook for one reason and one reason only. That's monetization. That's money. It's not to sit there and post cat videos. And believe me, I love a good cat video. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. Okay, cats are hilarious, especially the little ones with the cucumbers and all that kind of stuff. They're hilarious. So, anyway, all right. Next up, Craigslist. You need to get, like, when you guys get off of this webinar today. And by the way, like I said, if you guys have questions, you need to go ahead because we're going to finish up here in a minute. Post them in the Facebook group. Post them in GoToWebinar so I can answer them as a wrap up here. You need to get on Craigslist, and I'm going to show you the ad copy here in just a second. I'm going to show you exactly how easy this is. Get on Craigslist, get your ads going. Now, Craigslist used to only be free. You couldn't pay for anything, and that had its bonuses and its pluses and its minuses. The plus was you didn't have to pay for anything. The minus was Craigslist is funky. You could get ads ghosted. You get enough of your quote unquote competitors clicking on your stuff, and you're not making any money, or your ad disappears. That whole thing. So they finally went. We have been kind of like praying for this for years. Please go to a paid platform so we can just pay and have our stuff stay up. So even if you had to pay $3, okay, which I do for a bunch for another business that I've got, that's not real estate related. But even if you got to pay $3, it's worth the $3 to get the ad up for 30 days, okay, to get yourself out there in the marketplace. I guarantee you're going to get traction, and you're going to start building a database, okay, of people that want what you have. Now, it may not always be right now today, but nonetheless, you got to start building that pipeline immediately. And I'll show you the ad here in a second. Facebook, when you get off this webinar, Craigslist ad up, okay? Facebook, let all your peeps know what you do. Now, understand something. At maximum, you're only going to penetrate 7% based on Facebook's algorithm. What does that mean? It means if you have 5,000 friends, quote unquote friends like I do, maximum that's going to see any post that I do is going to be, what is that? 10%, 500, 350. Okay. Maximum 350 at a time. And it's probably even lower than that. Okay. So understand it for what it is. So what's the answer? The answer is the key to marketing and advertising, which is repetition and frequency. Okay. You guys understand that? Repetition and frequency. So you're going to continue posting over and over. And I don't mean like, every 2 seconds. I'm talking about, every couple hours. And you can, if you guys don't know, Facebook has scheduling now. So you can go in and you can create a bunch of different posts, letting people know what you do, and have them scheduled so that they stagger all throughout the day and night. Okay. On one of our other businesses, as an example, where we do the medical commodity flipping, one of my guys, literally, and I want to show you the power of this so it makes sense. He did one free Facebook post. Like we hung up the phone because I was chewing his ass. He hung up the phone, posted a free Facebook post, and in less than 20 minutes had netted, okay, this is not a real estate deal, so understand that, netted $788 in cash in his account, okay, in less than 20 minutes. That's how powerful Facebook is when you use it properly. That was not a paid ad. That was just his own personal profile Facebook post. Not a Facebook page, not anything. It's just his own personal deal, okay? You got to let people know who you are and what you do because they want to pay you, okay? They want to help you. Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you guys know all the usual suspects, okay? You've got to get this information out there so that people can start, they see you as the source, right? The credible source, the go-to source to go to for what you're trying to do, whatever that ends up being. In my situation, we're doing like I did, I'm working on multifamily stuff right now. So now I did a bunch of posts the other day. Now I'm getting bombarded in my inbox with apartment deals, which is fantastic. And it was all free. It didn't cost me a dime. Okay. So that's what you want to do. You got to let them know who you are. You got to let them know what you do. And it doesn't mean that you can't throw the random cat video in there too. I do a lot of stuff like you say, well, Vincent, you post this other stuff. Yes, but you need to understand something. Okay. I've already got Facebook monetized. I make 100% of my income online. Okay. 100% and have since 2007. Okay. So understand there's a big difference. I'm not sitting in a cubicle someplace or whatever it is. I'm not driving around. I don't have to do anything. It's 100% online. And so I have a brand, and I keep things consistent with the brand. And sometimes I post funny stuff or whatever it is. And it's like building rapport with people, that whole thing. But the whole purpose is monetization. It's to get paid. Okay. It's not because I like posting cat videos. And like I said, I like cat videos. Don't get me wrong. So I appreciate you guys that do post cat videos because I enjoy them. But they're not making you any money. Okay? So anything that you're posting on Facebook, you need to be thinking first, like, how is this going to help me make money? Right? And it needs to be, the ratio needs to be 10 to 1. Okay? Post 10 things that are going to help you make money and then one thing so you can get your endorphin rush or whatever it is, your funny cat video. Then post one cat video. Then go back to posting 10 other things that are going to make you money and then post your one cat video. Okay? Be disciplined. Make sure that what you're doing is consistent with whatever your goals are going to be, right? So this is what you have to do immediately and consistently. And the sole purpose of this is what? It's generating leads for free, which you can do today if you will follow these instructions, which most people will not, unfortunately. What you're looking to do is a marketing blitzkrieg, okay? Now, who does this better than anybody else? McDonald's, okay? Like I bring up McDonald's all the time because you can't go anywhere without seeing a McDonald's ad, right? TV, radio, internet, side of a bus, billboards, whatever. Everybody knows what a Happy Meal is. Everybody knows the I'm loving it jingle, right? You got why? Repetition and frequency. Okay? And they're everywhere. And that's exactly what you guys need to be doing too. All right, so here's an example buyer ad. Now there's two different ways to do buyer ads to generate buyers for free. And let me show you guys this so you guys understand. Especially you quote unquote wholesalers, okay? I'm going to blow your mind right now. So this is one of my websites, and this is what we call the Home Finder program. And basically this goes through, walks you through the process of how it works, what we do, blah, blah, blah. And if you want me to go buy a property for you, okay, now keep in mind, I want to be clear on this. If I'm going to buy a property for you, that means that I'm going to do it on a no money down, no credit check, owner finance deal, which I have done thousands of, okay? Understand that. Imagine contracting on properties, okay? I'm not talking about these like $30,000 beater houses. I'm talking about up into the millions, okay, for no money, like literally no money. And now all of a sudden I own and control the property. I can do whatever I want to with it. So I go, and this is a big mistake. For those of you that are wholesaling and you just say, you know, Vincent, screw you, I'm going to keep doing wholesaling. Here's the one takeaway that you need to take away from this, okay? Because you've been taught wrong. You've been taught how to do the whole thing backwards. You do not ever go inventory first, ever, okay? Dumbest thing you can possibly do. Let me explain to you why. I learned this the hard way. So I'm not saying you're dumb. I'm saying I did the exact same thing because that's what you think. You got to have product to sell, right? No, wrong. You don't, okay? It's wrong. So back in 2008, when we first got things going, we did some of the marketing stuff that I'm about to show you here too. It's called the 10-minute task. And we ended up generating over $40 million in properties under contract in less than 8 weeks from basically from day one. Said, okay, this is what we got to do. And in less than 8 weeks, we had $40 million of property under contract. And I'm talking about turnkey, beautiful, $300,000 plus, ready to move into houses in Atlanta. Okay, if you're in California, that's going to be somewhere probably, I don't know, 800,000 or so based on the price points out there. But so in Atlanta, $300,000 plus is going to get you, a nice 3-sides brick, stainless appliances, granite countertops, the whole 9 yards, right? Possibly a basement, depending on what the location was. $40 million worth of properties on it. Okay, now the problem with that is that I can contract on, I can't remember how many exactly that was, but I can contract on 100 houses, even on my model, and sell literally none of them. Okay, just like you guys, when you do the wholesale things, you go out there and you get the contract and you shop it, and then you can't get rid of it, right? And the reason is because you're doing the model backwards. The model is not inventory first. Okay, that's the dumbest thing you can do. The correct model is buyer first. Okay, if your exit strategy is to sell. So I learned very quickly in 2008, based on the fact that I had all these properties under contract, I couldn't move them all, and then I had to deal with the logistical nightmare of 100 plus sellers contacting me every single week. Hey, how come my property hasn't sold? How come my property hasn't sold? Right? I don't have time for all that. Right? Like, we're working on it. Like, what are you going to tell? And then they get pissed off and whatever. You don't want to deal with all that, right? And you're not selling anything, and it looks good on a website. Oh, you got all these houses or whatever it is. But if you're not selling any of them, it doesn't do any good. So I learned out very quickly. I'm like, you know what? The hell with that. Let's go buyer first. Okay. And the reason, basically, my very first, um, the very first deal I did like this was somebody contacted me from a Craigslist ad, and they said, "Hey, so you got these houses, and this is what we need. Do you have anything that fits?" And they had, I forget how much cash they had. I think this was like when I first got going. I think they had about $8,000, and I said, "No, I don't." I said, "But I'll go find it for you, right?" And this is before I had a program, before I had anything. I was like, whatever. This is, if you guys haven't read my story or listened to the podcast or whatever it is, I went through a very ugly and painful $4.5 million bankruptcy back in 2007, when the whole, the rug got pulled out from underneath us, and Wall Street turned off the mortgage lending faucet. And so, lost everything, sleeping on the in-laws couch, horrific time. And I'm trying to get out of there. And so I'm, for lack of a better term, desperate at this point, because I want to get my wife and kids out of our in-laws house and back into our own deal and get back on top again, right? And so here comes this woman with cash. I don't have a house that she wants, that doesn't fit what she needed. So I said, no, but I'll go find it for you, right? So I hung up the phone with her, and I found a house on forsalebyowner.com. I called up the seller, guy's on the golf course, and he's like, hey man, I'm on the, we're on the, whatever it is, the ninth hole. Can I call you back when I get back to the house? It'll be about 6 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, you can call me back. It's on a Saturday. I'm like, hell yeah, you can call me back. So he calls me back Saturday at 6 o'clock. I talked to the guy for 45 minutes. I sent him a contract. He executed the contract. I contacted the buyer Sunday morning. Took the kids to a Burger King to let them play in the little play place thing there, and gave them a lockbox code. They went out and saw the house that day and executed the contract on Monday, and I got paid. Okay, so initial phone call was Saturday, and this is not. I'm not talking about a same day turn. Okay, so you can't get wires on the weekend. So understand that for what it is. The wires only come Monday through Friday. So, but in this particular situation, initial contact on Saturday, property contracted on Saturday evening, and then buyer sees the property Sunday. Could have closed on Sunday, but banks aren't open, can't do anything, and then I get paid on Monday. All right, that's how fast these deals can happen. And all it was contract being sent to the seller, and then a separate contract being sent to the buyer. Done, paid, money in the bank. Okay, just like that. Now, that became the impetus for what I call the Home Finder program, which I got tired of watching, people with, 25, 30, 50, 80, 100 grand walk on down the road because I didn't have at that specific moment a house that they were looking for. Now, for you wholesalers that are out there, and I've seen people do all kinds of crazy stuff on these assignment fees. Before I even pick up the phone for somebody, this is the checkout page I'm showing you right here, I make them stroke out $2,500 up front. Okay, that's just for me to engage. And that's against a minimum of another 25 grand. Okay, so think about this for a second. They want me to buy them a property, which I'm happy to do. But before I do anything, because I'm going buyer first and I want to deal with serious buyers, they're stroking out $2,500, non-refundable, as you can see. Okay, says it up here, non-refundable. Says it down here, non-refundable. Right? Why? Because pros get paid to play. Before I even pick up the phone to talk to anybody, to look at any properties, to do anything, it's $2,500 up front. Now, that's not a fee. Okay, so I credit that towards their down payment when they execute a contract. Okay, I'm not trying to charge them a fee, whatever it is. I'm not licensed, and I'm not trying to charge a fee. It's money that's held basically in escrow, for lack of a better term. Even though it's non-refundable, they don't get it back anyway. But it gets, so if they have to come in with 30 grand for the down payment, as an example, they don't have to come in with 30 grand because they've already got a credit for 2,500, so they come in with 27.5. Okay, but I don't pick up the phone and waste time looking for houses or buying properties for people or inquiring on stuff they've already found, unless they paid money up front. They got skin in the game. Okay, so understand that for what that is. You don't have to either. Now, when I first started doing it, I did a bunch of deals and I didn't do that, and I finally got to the point where what happened was, it was almost simultaneous. I had these two deals that it was like these two girls on two separate deals, and the people make you. If you guys don't know the whole expression in real estate investing, is buyers are liars and sellers are non-truth tellers. Okay, and people will tell you all kinds of crazy stuff. And this one girl told me, "Oh yeah, I've got the money, blah blah, not a problem. If you can just get me this one house, we love it. We're ready to go, ready to pull the trigger." So I get on the phone, talk to the seller, and I said, "Look, if I can get this contract executed today, I can have money in your hands today, right?" So he executes the contract, and then I go back and tell the buyer. And the buyer then starts hemming and hawing, and blah, 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 and I don't have the money. And I'm like, wait a minute, time out. Why are you telling me you got the money? And if I can get this house, you're ready to go, and you don't have the money. And now I look like a scam because I told the guy he was going to have cash today based on what you told me, and it was a big debacle, right? And the same thing happened on another deal, and the girl's like, yep, absolutely, we're all in, ready to roll. And so I get the property under contract, and all of a sudden, she lets me, oh, well, but our lease isn't up for 8 more months. Now, in both instances, I asked these people, well, if you knew you couldn't close, why'd you have me go contract on the property that you said you loved and were ready to move forward on? And the answer both times was the exact same thing. And that was, well, we really didn't think you could do it. Okay. And I was obviously fit to be tied because I got a wife, I got kids, I got people to feed too. Like I don't have time to waste playing, reindeer games, buying properties for people, going through all the shenanigans you have to go through to get a deal under contract to then have my time wasted. They don't have any money and all this kind of stuff. So since that point in time, they pay up front a minimum of $2,500 before I pick up the phone. All right. And then in addition to that, once we set up once they sign up and they pay the $2,500, we set up what's called a base camp project. And in that project, we're verifying proof of funds, we're verifying everything, income, asset, the whole 9 yards. It's all verified up front before we pick up the phone and call anybody. So we know up front that they have the ability to consummate a transaction when we're done. So this is the buyer first methodology. Now, the beauty of buyer first, if you guys haven't picked up on this, is that I can contract on one property and get paid. Okay? Guys, let that sink in for a second so you understand. If I go buyer first, I know what the buyer is looking for. Most of the time, they actually pick it up. They find it for me. I don't even have to do it. And I simply have a conversation with the seller, explain to him what we're trying to do, send him a contract. He executes it or she executes it. Then I execute the contract with the buyer, and it's payday, just like that. Okay, so I can contract on one house and get paid. Okay, the average, let me rephrase that, the maximum that number of properties we'll contract on for a buyer is typically 2, and I'll explain to you what I mean so it makes sense. Sometimes there are things in the ad, or sometimes there are things that a seller does not disclose that we don't know about, and so the buyer will go out and, okay, well, it's next to power lines, or it's next to a landfill, or it's next to God only knows what. And you couldn't see it in the photographs or anything like that. Or what? Okay, so that's legit. It doesn't work for that reason. And so then now we've identified what else we have to look out for, and then we'll go get them a contract on a second property. If we ever have to get to a third property, it's typically because of one of two things. That's why you want to ferret all this stuff out from the very beginning. It's either because A, they have champagne taste, but they're on a beer budget, or B, the husband and the wife are not on the same page. Okay, and that does happen. Typically, the wife is going to be the decision maker on the house experience, but sometimes you'll get guys that they want what they want, and they're going to pull their pants up and all that kind of crap and whatever it is, and they don't understand the whole if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy sort of thing. And so you'll get into those scenarios. So it's important to make sure that you don't run into that, and you can vet all that stuff out up front. But other than that, it's real simple. They come in here, they sign, they pay the money, and then we go find them a house, and we contract on it, we buy it, they go see it, they like it, fantastic. They execute a contract, send me a wire, and we're done and moving on. And again, the 4 different revenue streams, okay? That's how it is. Buyer first means I can contract on one house and get paid. Inventory first does not mean I can contract on one house and get paid. I may get paid if I only contract on one house, but the likelihood is that most of the time, in my personal experience, going property first or inventory first, you're gonna you're looking at a ratio of no less than 10 to 1, meaning you can contract on 10 houses and not sell any of them, whereas you can contract on one property for a buyer and get paid instantly. So it's a much better model, okay? And you don't waste a whole lot of time. Much better way to go all the way around. All right, so here's an example buyer ad. And it really literally is as simple as this. You really don't have to get complicated or get fancy or get wordy or anything like that, because what you're trying to do is hook them. Okay, you're going on Craigslist. Hey, you go into the apartment housing for rent, and then also the real estate by owner and all that kind of stuff, and you can post in, no banks or credit needed. I will buy you a home and owner finance it to you. Okay, just as simple as that. So I got to say, nothing else, right? Inquire for details, and they're going to contact you. That's one way to do it. Now, the other way to do it, this is what we use for JVP program, which actually works exceptionally well as well, is that take properties that we actually have under contract, okay? Right? And so, as an example, and we market this property or any of the other properties that we've got, and they market this, and you market it as, this is actually owned by an attorney in Jacksonville. You market the property, and it will generate, each one of these properties that we market typically will generate between 6 and 10 buyer leads per week for about 3 weeks until the ad gets stale, and then you want to cycle them and recirculate them. Now, what happens here is this, and so you understand how this kind of functions. And it's crazy, and most people don't understand it if you've never done this type of business. 9 out of 10 people that contact us on, let's say, this house as an example, they don't actually want that house. Okay, what they're doing is they're triggering off the no credit qualifying aspect of the ad itself, and they're calling to find out and inquire if we have something else that may work. And that, my friends, is why we have the Home Finder program. Okay, right? So they can go right through here, read about what we're doing. Here's actually one of my guys down in we got this guy property in Marietta, Georgia, back in the day. I saw a testimonial from Rick. And then they go on here and they can pay, and then we'll go get them whatever they want. Okay. So real simple. It's not complex. You have people out there that want to buy hot properties. They don't want to be renters. They have cash. 99% of the time they have great credit. Not always, but most of the time they actually have good credit. But there's some reason they don't qualify for conventional financing. Get a lot of self-employed people, because they're almost never going to qualify for conventional financing because of the tax return situation. And you then become the hero, the savior for these people, because you can provide them something that the banks cannot, the ability for them to actually legally own a home, get the mortgage interest and property tax deduction, homestead exemption. If they want to paint, they paint. If they want to get a dog, get a dog. They don't have to answer to anybody because they own the house, okay? And very simple deals to do. And unlike a wholesale deal, when you're done with these deals, everybody loves you. You've solved everybody's problem. You solve the seller's problem because they've got a vacant property, okay? They've got a vacant property that they're eating payments on, and you've solved the buyer's problem because they want to own, not rent, and the banks are not lending to them for XYZ reasons, okay? Now, for sellers, this is very simple, okay? This is how, if you want to, if you don't want to listen to me and you want to go seller first, which I don't advise, but if that's what you want to do, or if you have a buyer and now you need to find a seller that has what they're looking for, then this is what you do. You simply follow what's called the 10-minute task. 10-minute task is on the website at virtualrealestateinvestor.org. You guys can get a free copy of it if you haven't already. If you're on the email list, you already have it. If you're not on the email list, it'll send it to you automatically once you sign up. This is the exact system that Wendy and I used back in 2007 to generate $40 million in contracts in less than 8 weeks in literally 10 minutes per day. And the reason it's 10 minutes, and I'll explain to you what it is, it's basically you're doing 10 minutes worth of inquiries on Craigslist. Okay? I'll give you, here, let me just show you how simple it is. And you guys don't even have to do it. You can have your VAs do it or whatever. At that time, my wife was doing it. So if we go on here and say Orlando, I go to apartment housing for rent, and then I go over here and you put in your criteria for price minimum, and depending on what the size deals that you want to do. I don't personally work on anything under $1 million. If I'm personally doing a deal, my JVP start at $400,000, but so just say $3,000, $3,000 minimum price, no maximum price. You always want to go after a 4-bedroom, 3-bath plus. Okay, and there are reasons for this based on the buyer type. Oh, wait a minute, I didn't do that right. 4 bathrooms, no max, and then 3 bathrooms. Okay, so look what just happened. So we pull this up, and here we go. We got $3 million state furnished for only $3,500 a month. That's probably a staged house, but let me take a look anyway. Yeah, okay. So that's not an accurate example because they're looking for people with furniture for staging. Okay, so here's a rent to own in Dr. Phillips. If you guys don't know Orlando, Dr. Phillips is a very prestigious area. And you just go through these things, okay? Elegant 5-bedroom, 3-bath, lake home in Windermere. Windermere, fantastic. That's right where Tiger Woods lived. Okay, so you go through here. Got this great house. All right, it's for rent, $3,850 a month. And you simply, there's 2 ways to do it. I'm going to tell you what we did, and then I'm going to tell you let me rephrase that, what we did then and what I do now. So back then, all we were trying to do, we were trying to cast a wide net because we were trying to generate a bunch of inventory because the properties are the bait that brings the buyers in, right? The buyer leads with cash. So what my wife would do, she would spend 10 minutes in the morning, and the reason it's 10 minutes is because you can only do so many inquiries before Craigslist locks you down for 24 hours. And it runs out to about 25 inquiries per day. And that if you do it this way, literally takes less than 10 minutes. So what she would do is she would go on this, like right here, go reply. And this is all covered in the 10-minute task. And then reply by email. And then on the email, it would basically say, hey, I saw your property listed for rent, blah, blah, blah. Would you be open to something like a lease purchase or an eventual sale, right? And that's it. And then send the email. Done. And move on to the next one. Okay? Now, we have done this time and time and time again on live webinars, okay, over the years, because people, when I first showed people how to do this back in 2013, everybody thought it was BS, right? There's no way that something this simple is going to work, okay? But it does, okay? And every time we've ever done it on a live webinar, and I actually went through the 10-minute task, that we've never, not once, had it happen where multiple sellers responded to the email in that 10-minute period of time that they were interested, okay? So that's all I need. Now I can move forward and find out, okay, now we got the seller's attention. Now it's time for a phone call. That's if you're trying to generate standing inventory, okay, to go on your website or whatever it is so that you can generate buyer leads. If this was for an actual buyer that had paid me the $2,500 already and had, sorry, this thing caught me off guard here. What the hell is this? Hang on a second. Somebody's got to tell me what this is because I don't think I've ever seen this before. Where'd it go? What is that thing coming off of the toilet? Anybody ever seen that before? It's got a spray handle or something. You guys see that? Here, let me get back to that photo. What the hell is that thing? Can you guys see that? It's like was that braided nylon or aluminum? Is that a sprayer? I don't know what the hell that is, man. Good grief. Interesting to say the least. If anybody knows what that is, please let me know because that's hilarious. All right, so if this was actually for a buyer that had already paid money and it caught their, it matched what they were looking for, then I would not email these people, okay? What I would do is I would go to the reply button up here, show me the phone number, go through the CAPTCHA thing here. Okay, now I got their number, and I would pick up the phone, and I would give them a phone call, okay? Because I'm one phone call away now from a payday. Does that make sense? Don't hide behind the keyboard when it comes to making money. If it's just generic, I'm just trying to generate inventory, fine, hide behind the keyboard, email them, whatever it is. And the people that raise their hand, those are the people that you call back. You don't waste a whole bunch of time. If it's for a buyer where you're going to make 25 grand or more, which you would make more than 25 grand on this house right here based on the purchase price, then yeah, I'd pick up the phone, because literally I could talk to that person, 30, 45 minutes, an hour or whatever, get the property under contract, and then looking at payday. Okay. So that's how that works. Yeah. You guys are hilarious. I don't know what. That's a first, man. I've seen bidets before, but I've never seen a butt sprayer coming off of a toilet. Oh man, the things that happen on live webinars, that's hilarious. Okay. So follow a 10-minute task. Takes literally 10 minutes per day, and literally 10 minutes per day, because you can't do it any more than that. Your VA can handle it. It doesn't have to be you. You can get I don't know about the $2 an hour VA in the Philippines, because I don't know if they can get through the IP checks, but somebody locally for very little money can do it for you. It's 10 minutes. So if you're paying them $15 an hour, whatever that equates out to, not that much. Okay. And it works like crazy. And then you get your list of people that have raised their hand, and you call them back, and then all of a sudden you get properties under contract. Okay. Now, also for sellers, here are ways that you can get sellers for, this is for standing inventory. Well, this is actually for both, but dial for dollars. Okay. What that means is you're going to be, depending on what strategy you're going after and whether or not you have a buyer already lined up or not. If you're going for the inventory first model, which, like I said, I don't advise, but nonetheless, then you can just pick up the phone. Okay. Just pick up the phone and start calling people. Okay. The only thing they can do is cuss you out and hang up on you. All right. And if you can't handle that, then real estate is definitely not the industry for you. I got news for you. Okay. So don't worry about it. All you're going to do is ask some very simple questions to find out if they are open to an eventual sale. If in the sweet spot for what you're looking for is I go to apartment housing for rent. I'm looking for properties that are for rent. And why am I looking for properties that are for rent? Because I know they're open to taking a monthly payment. Okay. Most of the time, 99% of the time, the property is also vacant. What does that mean? That means we have a seller eating payments on a property he's not living in, which if you've never done that, it sucks. I don't like doing it. I don't do it. Not going to do it. And they don't want to do it either. So they're looking for a solution. So once you get your spiel down and you can explain everything to them the right way and tell them how it's a much better deal than them renting for all the reasons that we cover in the course and everything, then you can get the property under contract. Okay. Now, another great source for this, and see Ethan Atkinson's on here on Facebook Live. He's a realtor in Athens, Georgia, unless he's moved, is flat fee real estate brokerages. Okay. And there's Ethan, I don't know how familiar you are with Atlanta, but Rhonda Duffy runs a flat fee portion of her brokerage as well. And I can't tell you the number of deals that we have gotten from that because it's a flat fee deal, and they were making back in the day, I don't know how much it is now, but it's like $500 for the flat fee listing. They will happily provide you the seller's contact information. Okay. And fantastic. I would normally say stay away from, MLS listed properties, even though we've done them. They tend to be more challenging to do because realtors obviously want to make 6%, which I don't have a problem with that, but they're not going to make that today on an owner finance deal. But on a flat fee broker, since they're not getting paid, they've already been paid and they're not getting paid anymore, they will give you the seller's phone number. Okay. And then you can just contact the seller, explain who you are and what you do. And those are some fantastic deals that are out there. The reason most of them are going flat fee is because they have no equity, or they don't have enough equity to pay the full 6%, or they're just cheap. I don't know. There's a bunch of different reasons, but nonetheless, flat fee real estate brokerages, they just give you the phone number and you just contact the seller, explain what you're doing. Property hasn't sold. If it's vacant, you provide another solution for that. It absolves them of all maintenance and repairs because they don't have to deal with tenants and toilets issues. It's a fantastic deal for them if they haven't sold the property. Now, if they, you need to understand this. We talk about properties that are for sale. And a lot of people are like, well, why would somebody do an owner finance deal if they're trying to sell their house? Or they told me, oh, yeah, one of the objections that we get all the time is, oh, well, I'm just looking for an outright sale, an outright cash sale or whatever. And of course, that's what they're looking for. That's why they have the property listed for sale, right? So you got to understand this. This is where we talked about earlier about educating them so they can understand. And you also have to ask the right questions to be able to handle that as an objection, which is not hard to do. So if they're telling you, hey, I'm just looking for an outright cash sale, and you're trying to push an owner finance deal, then what I say, and it's real simple, and I can't tell you how much money I've made off of this before, is you got to use a number of different closing techniques, and you have to be on their side. You're not adversarial. You're not arguing with them. And so what I do is I say, listen, Mr. Seller, I'm an investor, and I will tell you this. If you can get, an outright cash sale, then that's absolutely the best deal for you. That's what I would do. That's what I would advise for you to do. Okay, and I'm going to stop right there. What have I just done? I have agreed with them. I have affirmed and reaffirmed that they are making the right decision, right? Not confrontational, not adversarial. They're making the right decision with what the plan they're doing. Okay, but then I go into, but let me ask you this. Okay, in the event that doesn't materialize, what's plan B? And then I shut up. Okay, and that's called the silent close. Now, what just happened there is this. For those of you who have not been involved in closing a ton of real estate transactions before, on a seller who has this property, whether it's on the MLS, whether it's on, forsalebyowner.com or whatever, doesn't make a difference. Their only concept is selling. They have not considered anything other than selling. It just hasn't even entered their brain. Those synapses have not fired yet. Okay. So what I just did was I planted the seed. And I said, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm an investor, and if you can get an outright cash sale, that's absolutely the best deal for you, affirming that they're correct, right? It's exactly what I would do. Okay, so now we're on the same side, right? And it's also what I would advise you to do. Okay, again, reaffirming, agreeing with them that that's the right strategy, because guess what? It is. I can't argue with that. But let me ask you this. In the event that doesn't materialize, and keep in mind, he's eating payments on a vacant house, what's plan B? And then shut up. And now all of a sudden, their eyes roll back on their head because they haven't had to think about it before. You planted the seed, and now they have to open up and have an honest discussion about what plan B is. And most of the time, they've never thought about it, right? So that then allows me to introduce the option of, if that doesn't materialize, then this could be a great solution for you because of all the plethora of benefits it does for you. You have an actual sale today. You're not renting the property. You got a sale. Okay. We have a defined refinance term where you're going to get paid and cashed out. You don't have to deal with tenants and toilets and maintenance and repairs and all that kind of stuff. All you got to do is sit back and collect a check. Right? That's a great deal. I mean, obviously, if you can get the cash on the sale, do that. But if not, then this could solve your problem. And instead of kicking the can down the road on a rental, which is what you would be doing with no guarantee of a sale and no idea what the market's going to be like in 12 months, this is a much, much better deal because you've already got it sold by somebody that wants to buy the property, and all they're working on is finalizing their financing. It's a win-win all the way around. Done. That's how simple it is, okay? It's not a complex conversation. You guys can hear me say the exact same things on the podcast, on real calls with live sellers, the whole 9 yards, so you know that what I'm telling you is accurate, and you see exactly how it works, okay? Now, the way these deals work, we've talked about this 3 times already. Once you have one half, now all you have to do is find the other half. So when we're talking about how you can do a deal same day, and again, the caveat in the preface here is that not every deal is going to be done same day for a lot of different reasons, but here's how you can do a deal same day, and this is definitely how you can do a deal this week. And I'm going to say this, there is absolutely no reason whatsoever why everybody on here cannot do a deal this week, and matter of fact, every week, if you follow the instructions that I've laid out, okay? All that is necessary is for you to find the one half, whatever half that is. I advise going buyer first, okay? If you've done that, then now all you're doing is you're trying to find a property. And properties are all over the place, and to find them is free. It's on the internet. Very, very simple, okay? That's it. That's all that is necessary. Contract goes to the buyer. You're going to enter into a joint venture agreement, so you're not illegally brokering without a license. Then, once you found the property, you're going to contract with the seller to buy the property, and then another contract with the buyer, and boom, here comes the wire, and you're done. Okay? Now you've generated the 4 different revenue streams. You got down payment up front, monthly cash flow, principal balance reduction on the underlying note, and your back end spread once the buyer refinances. It is an absolute grand slam that you do not get on any other real estate strategy variant. Okay, that's how you do it. It's not complex. Okay, so all right. So here, let me. In other words, you get property under contract first. Now, I'm going to show you both ways here. Okay, if you go property first, you get a property under contract, or maybe some of you guys already have properties under contract, and I'm talking about turnkey, don't need rehab, not fixer-uppers, no sweat equity deals. I'm talking about it's ready to move into right now, and for them to plop down and crack open a bottle of wine or a can of beer and watch the Super Bowl. Okay, it's ready for that right now. Then you market the property on Craigslist, Facebook, etc. You generate buyers with cash. Now, pay attention, because this is where a lot of people lose a lot of money. When those buyers contact you, if for whatever reason that property is not for them, then you need to have in the back of your mind, I can get you a property that does work for you, Mr. Buyer, so you don't lose that guy with 50 grand in cash. Okay, so make sure you're paying attention here to what we're talking about. Now, if you go buyer first, you're going to contract with them, and then you're going to go buy them a house on a no money down owner finance contract, and then sell it to them on yet another variant of an owner finance contract, depending on how the whole deal shakes out. Okay. Simple, right? All you need is 2 things. You need a buyer, a seller, and let me rephrase that. 3 things. A buyer, a seller, and a contract. That's it. No other complexities. You don't have to clear title. Why? Why are you clearing title? It doesn't make a difference today. Right? In the contract with the seller, he's already agreed to provide clear and marketable title. So it's not my job anyway. And there's nothing that's going to shield or prevent anything from being added to the title. Or clouding the title between now and the time that the buyer refinances anyway, so it's totally pointless. There's no reason. You don't have to get appraisals. What's that? What's the purpose of an appraisal today? Nothing, because the only time the value is going to make a difference is when the buyer goes to refinance. That's it. So no title, no appraisal. I've only ever in the last 13 years had one buyer ever do an inspection and pay for an inspection, and that was because it was a $570,000 house on a golf course in Atlanta, and we knew of an existing leak that was bringing water into the finished basement, and so he paid for the inspection. The inspector found it, and ended up costing the seller $3,000. They had to dig a trench in the front yard to fix an irrigation line that was leaking and then leaking into the basement. And they did that. But other than that, out of the hundreds of other deals, whatever it is, nobody's ever asked for an inspection. Nobody's ever done an appraisal. Nobody's ever even asked for title. Okay? If they want them, they can have them. They're paying for them just like they do in a conventional deal. I don't dissuade them from doing that, but most of the time they don't ask. Okay? Don't want it. Okay? And that, my friends, is it. It really is that simple. That's how you can do it. That's how you can actually do a deal this week. But we have to go back to what we talked about right here. Right? You got to take action, consistent action, and follow proven steps to success, which means, as we talked about, your to-do list for as soon as you get off this webinar and go to whatever it is, Facebook Live, that number 1, you're going to let all your peeps know who you are and what you do instead of posting cat videos. Your ratio should be 10 to 1 of posting who you are, what you do, what you're looking for, what you buy. I take over payments. I buy houses, no banks needed, no credit qualifying, whatever. They need to know what you're doing. If I can get on your personal profile and I cannot identify, and I'm not talking about your little description, I'm talking about your personal profile. If I can get on your personal profile and I can't tell from your posts who you are and what you do, you, my friend, are not serious, okay? You're not monetizing Facebook in the way that you should be if you're serious and you want to be successful and you don't want to be a wage slave, W-2, cubicle prisoner in a cage or whatever, whatever your thing is. Okay, people need to understand who you are, what you do, and how they can help you get paid, how they can bring you deals. If you guys don't know the statistics, let me explain this to you. So those of you that are out there that have a bunch of actual friends, okay, the way that real estate works, 25% of the population is moving every single year, okay? So 1 out of every 4 of your friends is moving this year. Now, the only question is, are you going to help them and make money from it, or are you not? Okay? And if you say, okay, well, I don't want to make money off my friends, whatever, that's your prerogative and probably smart anyway. It's better normally not to do business with friends and family and that kind of thing. But nonetheless, 25% of the people that you know are moving this year and every year. Okay? And they also know other people that are moving. Okay? So you need to understand that for what it is, and make sure that everybody that you come in contact with knows who you are, what you do, and what you're looking for. And most people do not do that. I don't mean handing somebody a business card. I haven't had business cards since 2006. But it does mean making sure that, look, you're using this platform right here for money. Okay? That's what it's there for. I mean, that's the main benefit of this platform is money. Okay? It's not cat videos. And what I want you guys to do is, when we get off this thing, go ahead and light up my newsfeed with cat videos, because I love them. I love cat videos. I love funny GIFs. Okay? But as I go through here, person after person after person after person, you'll see, okay, you know, I know Jeff Whalen. I know he's in real estate. And the reason I know he's in real estate because he's in my group and we've talked about stuff. And I know, like, he posts all the time about apartments and deals he's doing and all this other kind of stuff. So, okay, whatever. This guy here, Harry Walker, he's like nonstop real estate talk. Okay, people know what he is. Susan, I personally know Susan. You know, look at her doing things the right way, right? She's out here trying to monetize Facebook. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, Jason, hosting a watch party. I didn't even make you do that. Thank you for that, Jason. Many thanks. I don't know. That's incredible. See, that's cool. Look, check that out. That's cool. Jason, I think you may be the first that's ever done that. So thanks for that, man. Appreciate that. Okay. But, you know, as you go through, all right, so here's a sponsored ad. This guy's letting people know on Facebook who he is and what he does and how to get paid. And that's what you got to be doing. Okay. Oh, cat video. Here we go. Cat video. Right? Now, this guy, Jack Stearns, I don't know him personally, but he posts a lot of cool, funny videos and GIFs, okay, which I enjoy. But I don't know what he does. I don't know how to help this guy get paid, right? I know he has a lot of time to post this kind of stuff, right? But it's not making him any money. It's making Mark Zuckerberg money, okay? So if you're out there and you're doing this, you know, vomiting up this stuff all the time, understand people like me appreciate it. But if we don't know who you are and what you're doing, how do you expect to make? Okay, so here we go with all right, somebody's upset about 5G, whatever. Okay, just if you keep scrolling through this kind of stuff, you know, you'll see. Oh, okay, here we go. Somebody arguing about the Illuminati and all this. Okay, whatever. That doesn't. What is this doing for this person? Is it making money? No, I don't know. I don't know what she does. How do I help that person make money? How do we do business together? Right? Alan, I know Alan. I know what he does. And the reason I know what he does is because he's got a book, Laid Back Lifestyle, if you guys haven't seen his book. And he does real estate and a bunch of other stuff as well. But most of the people that are on here on Facebook are not, they're not, number one, monetizing the platform, even for free, so that people know who they are and what they do, okay? So they can get leads coming in on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, okay? And then, you know, it's all, okay, something about, okay, Bill Clinton, blah, 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 whatever. I mean, who cares? I don't know. What does that do? What is that doing for me? None of that stuff. I don't, you know, look, it's just person after person after person, okay? You know, I know who Gideon is because he's paid me money. I know what he does because he's paid me money. But beyond that is, what is this? Okay, some kind of All right, so it's a religious scripture. Fine, you feel like that's your thing. But for most people that are on here, you know, I know who Miles is because he's Mr. Internet Marketer like crazy, and he's always posting about internet marketing and his memberships and groups and affiliates and all that kind of stuff. But the average person, okay, what is this? The Jetsons. Okay, what is this for? Okay, it's funny. I get it, right? But they don't have it monetized. Okay, and if you don't have Facebook monetized to 6 or 7 figures, you should ask yourself why not. I got bad news for you guys. You're not going to like whatever this thing is. Is this the impeachment hearing or something? Okay, you're not going to save anybody with this stuff. All right. You guys need to understand that. All the tinfoil hat conspiracy stuff, all that stuff, you're not saving anybody on Facebook. Okay, so what you need to do, if you want to save somebody on Facebook, what you need to do is you need to save your family on Facebook. And the way that you do that is by monetizing this platform so that you are getting deals sent to you. That's what I do. You're getting leads, prospects, new customers, people that pay sent to you. That's what I do, okay? And that's what you guys can do too. But you got to be serious, all right? Now, for those of you who's on here, this was not a shill fest by any stretch of the imagination, but I know you're going to have questions. You can PM me, you can DM me. If you're not part of the Facebook group, here's the link. Actually, you know what? Those of you on Facebook Live are in the Facebook group, so that doesn't matter, but we'll do it for... Copy this. Go over here. We got a bunch of here. All right, so I'm going to put... let me get through the questions. Hey, Cindy. Brandon Fair says, let's get it. Well, let's get it, man. I've just laid out the plan. Okay, Tammy says, love this. Do you need to have a license of any kind to advertise on your page this way and take the non-refundable up front, or because of the JV agreement, it is a non-issue? You do not have to have a license to do owner finance deals in any state in the United States. No, you do not. There are specific things that you do have to do to maintain, I'm going to say this 2 different ways. Compliance with Dodd-Frank, for those of you who know what Dodd-Frank is, or what I do is I avoid their jurisdiction altogether, so I don't have to worry about that. And the way that that's done is through a joint venture agreement. Okay, and hopefully I answered your question. Yeah, so the 2,500 in that particular instance is going to capitalize the joint venture agreement, and we get into greater detail on that when in the actual course and everything, so people understand what we're doing. You guys in this thing with the bidet, that was hilarious. I've never seen one like that. Oh, fun for the whole family. Yeah, I can imagine. All right, Tammy says, this is a perfect model for our new business, and thank you. Just to be clear, though, I cannot touch the funds from the buyers for any reason other than using it to go towards the down payment on the purchase of their home. That's not true. What happens if they do not like any property I present them? Well, then you keep working. So let me answer this question real quick. I covered it already, and maybe you didn't catch it, but if we're doing a deal, so, okay, deal or contracts on homes for buyers. So contracts on home for buyers. Okay. My objective is one and done. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. I haven't felt we have if you do the group JVP thing or the one-on-one JV, these are paid programs I've got where you plug directly into my business, get access to all the properties and marketing and Podio system and all contracts and all thing. We've got all that together. Then the objective is one and done. What I want to do is I want to talk to the buyer one time, okay, once they're pre-qualified by the JVP, and then they sign up, they pay the $2,500. We set up a base camp project for them that then makes them provide proof of funds. It walks them through a tutorial, and Tammy, this is actually a really good question. I'm going to explain to you why. Okay, it's a really good question, and you're about to see some absolute genius in the way this thing actually worked out. I wish I could tell you it was by design, but that's not what ended up happening. It kind of happened through, like, sometimes you fall in it or you step in it. Okay, so so backing up first, let me answer your first question. Down payment is 100% profit up front. Okay, it's credited against their contract, so they get credit for it against the purchase price of the property. Okay, but for you, it's 100% profit cash up front. So you do a down payment for 25 grand. Okay, then that 25 grand goes in your back pocket right now, or goes to Amazon for whatever you're buying from them or whatever you're going to do with it. Okay, that's 25,000 upfront cash that you get to do whatever you want with. Doesn't go into an escrow account. Don't have to hold on to it. Don't have to do any of those things. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about licensed individuals here, so make sure we understand that. If you're doing a licensed deal with somebody, then that's a whole different set of parameters that you have to comply with. I am talking about a strictly investment deal. And even if you are licensed, you can do this without having to jump through all those hoops, as long as you have the proper disclosures in place and you explain in writing and get it signed by them that you are licensed, but you are acting strictly in an investor capacity, and that there is no fiduciary relationship extended or implied. Okay, so it's very important to understand that. So the down payment is yours right out of the gate. Now, as it stands for the question that she has, for those of you just jumping on, is that okay? So what if you go buyer first, and they stroke out $2,500 up front like they do with me, and they don't like any of the properties that you present to them? Well, there's two things here. Great question, and it'll make sense here in a second. Number one is then you keep searching, because they're going to move into something, okay? And so because they're going to move into something, that means that there is a house out there that they are going to be happy with, okay? So you need to understand that psychology going into it. And if you have to find more properties, then you got to find more properties. I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes you make one phone call and you're done. Sometimes you got to make 100 phone calls before you get done and get paid. It's just the nature of the beast and how things work. Now, the beauty of the way the system is set up is this, and here's for those of you paying attention, it's absolute brilliance. It's genius, okay? And it's like one of the greatest things since sliced bread as it relates to this model. Once we set up their Basecamp project, do you guys know what Basecamp is? Does everybody know what Basecamp is? It's a project management software. All right, so Basecamp, it's Basecamp 2 that you want, not Basecamp 3. Okay, Basecamp 2, not Basecamp 3. They have an upgraded version. Basecamp 3, that's not what you want. You want Basecamp 2, the older version. So what happens is in Basecamp is we create their project, and then it gives us the ability to provide them what are called to-dos, okay, little tasks that they got to accomplish. And so some of those tasks are provide proof of income, it's all the standard mortgage stuff, proof of funds, blah, 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 proof of employment, all these things, whatever. And I give them a tutorial. There's a video they got to watch on how to post properties that they're interested in to Facebook. And I do that, and then one of the very first to-dos they do after they provide all of their income docs is they are then required to provide us an example of a property that matches what they're looking for, okay? So I want you to understand the concept of how this actually plays out. So they paid $2,500 here, okay? Their psychology at this point is that they've paid this money, and the expectation is that now I, or we, if there's a JVP, are going to find them a property, right? That logic's out. Does that make sense to everybody? That logic's out. That's what they think that they're going to be getting. What happens is, it's like Pavlov's dog. It works the same way every single time that we ring the bell. Once they are in Basecamp, okay, and I give them that to do of, I need you to post a property that matches what you're looking for. Once they have been shown how to do it and empowered to do it, they do not stop. And so what ends up happening is, whereas, yes, we were looking at having to do all this work and sift through all these properties and do all this kind of stuff to try to find them a house, we don't have to do that because they do all the work for us. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay? I mean, I'm just telling you, absolutely beautiful. So, and don't take this the wrong way. It's not, again, to be gender offensive, but women are the buyers of houses. Okay, women love looking at houses. Okay, there's no offense with that. It's just they love it. And so once they've gotten that ability to post that first property, they just keep searching the internet and they keep posting other property after property after property after property. So then all I have to do, or all the JVP has to do, is boom, click on that link. We take a look at the ad that they pulled up. We look at the ad because the ad will tell us a lot about what's going on with the property before we even pick up the phone and call. And then it's one phone call, and the phone call, you can hear them on the podcast for free. It's basically it's the pre-qualifications essentially are, are you the owner of the property? I want to make sure I'm dealing with the owner and decision maker. Fantastic. So you got this property for rent. Are you also open to an eventual sale? And the answer is either yes or no. And if the answer is yes, fantastic. Then we move into going through the owner finance conversation to then get to a contract. If the answer is no, and if they say no, you guys need to listen to this. If they say no, you don't put your tail between your legs and hang up and, oh, I suck, and they told me no, and, oh, boo-hoo, and all this kind of crap. No. It's, my very next question is, because a lot of times they don't understand owner financing, right? And as a result, a confused mind doesn't make a decision. And so what I asked them at that point is that, okay, well, if... or let me back up. I said, they tell me no, I'm not interested, and I said, okay. I said, I asked them, what's the reason for that? Are you like a long-term hold for cash flow investor, or are you planning on moving back into the property at some point in time? And then I shut up. I asked them those two leading questions, non-confrontational, non-adversarial, endeavoring to understand, right? And in so doing, then they will tell me what the reason is. And 9 times out of 10, the reason is because they don't understand owner financing, or they don't think they can do it because they have a mortgage, or they don't think they can do it because of X, Y, Z, right? And then that becomes your opportunity to provide them the education to then move them forward in the direction of an owner finance contract, okay? And you have to, if you're going to do this or be involved in real estate investing at all, you've got to be a closer, okay? You got to be a professionally trained salesperson. And so you've got to be able to handle those when somebody tells you no, like that podcast episode I referenced earlier, no doesn't always mean no, okay? In fact, no rarely means no. And I'm not talking about, women and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about on real estate deals. So no doesn't always mean no, and you need to understand it for what it is. You got to get to whatever the deeper situation is to understand why is it no. Because most of the time it's they lack education, and your job then is become the educator. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question. Okay, if they don't like properties that you present them, that shouldn't really be the case, because I have them fill out what I call the home finder form, and they tell me, number one, exactly what they're looking for, any must-haves, any deal killers, bedrooms, baths, school zones, blah blah blah, whatever it is. And any deal killers, okay? I don't like white cabinets or whatever it is. Whatever the thing is, I want to know all that up front so that when we're looking at houses, we can identify that stuff. And then the second thing is, like I said, once they've been empowered to add properties to Basecamp, they don't ever stop. So I don't even have to look for them. Okay? I just go click on a link, and here's the house, and I pick up the phone and make a phone call. And then it's payday. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay? I know that's the way it works in reality. All right. Andrew says, if you have a buyer that's self-employed and can't get financing because of write-offs or taxes, how do you structure the deal for them to refi in 24 months? Andrew, great question. You don't. Okay? There's your answer. You don't. So what do you do? It's very simple. Most self-employed people are not ever going to qualify for conventional financing. And the reason for that is because they have to make the decision that I'm going to pay taxes that I don't owe so I can artificially inflate income on a 1040, okay, to then be able to go into debt with Bank of America on a mortgage, and it makes absolutely zero financial sense. So in those situations, what we end up doing is we put them in a fully amortized deal. So if you're going buyer first, and we do a lot of deals with self-employed people, like the cannabis guy I was telling you about earlier, then you've got to identify up front if they are ever going to qualify for conventional financing. And then number two, if they're not, then you've got to put them in a deal. Like we talked to a guy, what was it, 3 days? I think 3 days, Friday, I think it was, or Thursday or Friday of last week. And he's never going to qualify. So we have to get him into a fully amortized transaction, and he wants to pay it off in 15 years because he's going to be retiring at that point. And so you have to be able to negotiate that into the deal up front. And or option B is know that you're going to have to, which I don't advise, by the way, but that you're going to have to be able to obtain financing to refinance them out at that 24-month mark. And the balloon doesn't have to be 24 months. My standard balloon is 24 months just because I want to make sure they've got plenty of time to qualify. Typically, most of them qualify at 12. That's really the desired objective, is 12 months or less. But you can do balloons for 60 months. You can do balloons for whatever period of time. It doesn't have to be that. Obviously, if you can get a deal with somebody on a fully amortized deal where the seller just keeps getting payments every month, and you can pay it off over a period of 30 years or whatever, always take that deal. That's fantastic. Okay, absolutely fantastic deal. So hopefully that helps you. But no, you would never slam dunk a seller. Let me rephrase that. A buyer that's self-employed into a 24-month balloon knowing that they can't qualify in 24 months. That's bad business. A lot of people do that. And what they end up doing is they're trying to, and I've seen it happen. And I'll give you a real life example. They want to come back to the well, basically, and they want to say, okay, at 24 months you don't qualify, so you're either going to give me another 25 grand, or you're going to get out of the property and I'm going to sell the property to somebody else, on another 24-month balloon and pick up another 25 grand. Okay. Those are what I call vulture investors, but they're out there, and that's the kind of stuff that they end up doing. All right. So don't be that kind of person. You want to do business honestly, ethically, legally, whatever, and treat people the way you want to be treated. I mean, it's the golden rule, right? It's not that complex. You don't have to screw people to make money. It's not necessary. So for those of you who are on the Facebook Live, maybe not, the 10-minute task, just go here. It's virtualrealestateinvestor.org. I'll drop a link down below, and you can get the 10-minute task, exactly what we use to generate the $40 million in contracts in less than 8 weeks. This goes through the who I am, all this stuff, what you actually get from the programs that we run, where you actually plug into my business and work with me as a joint venture partner. Okay, you get access to all the stuff that we've got here, our Podio back system, our Slack channel, all the support you need, my VAs, our phone systems, the whole 9 yards, everything. And we've got two different programs here that you can sign up for and start doing deals immediately with us and cut the curve dramatically, because we've already got properties under contract. We already have the systems in place. We already have VAs in place. We already have the phones in place. You could be doing business at 180 miles an hour literally this afternoon, okay? For those of you that want to jump the learning curve and have the one-on-one support that you're looking for. So it's virtualrealestateinvestor.org, and then you just click on these things and it'll take you to the checkout page, and you can go check out and get signed up and get ready to move forward. All right, Andrew says, thanks for clarification. Makes sense why you go buyer first, because you go into the conversation with a seller knowing what terms a buyer needs. Genius. Yes, that's exactly right. And you have to, especially if you're dealing with a self-employed person that needs a fully amortized deal, because you can go and get a seller that wants to sell a property. He's up to owner finance, but he doesn't want to carry the paper for 30 years. And so what do? Well, you go ahead and contract on the property, because now you've got it for at least 24 months. You sell it to somebody else, and then you keep looking for something that you can get into for the longer term for the self-employed guy. And I'm just going to say this. Most self-employed people, like the guy the other day, they don't want long terms. Okay, I've never had one once that said, hey, I want a 30-year deal. It's typically always 15. All right, so what happens in those scenarios, you got to understand the math and how it works, is that the the seller is going to get the um, mortgage paid off at an accelerated rate and then be able to cash flow for a period of time because of the higher payment. Typically, not always, but that's normally the way it ends up working out. So it typically ends up being a much better deal, and they get paid off faster. So, all right, anybody else have any other questions? Nope. Want to work with me? virtualrealestateinvestor.org. Boom, plug in. You can make money, but you got to follow. Listen, don't if you're not. You got to follow instructions, okay? And you got to be consistent. And let me show you. We have Podio set up for that exact reason, because Podio is it's what I call the real-time lie detector, because it shows exactly what people do and timestamps it, because this is for serious people. You know, if you guys are out there struggling or whatever it is, I mean, you can start working, you know, with us right now. It's $500. Okay, it's not a big deal. And you're plugged into a live business and somebody with 30 plus years experience and all the contracts, everything you need to make money, other than what's needed from you, which is action and consistency and an ability to follow instructions. Okay, and there's no reason, literally, why you can't make money this week and do a deal. Okay, now you're gonna have to work. And that's the big turnoff. That's what these gurus don't sell. The fact that you actually have to work. Okay. But for those of you that are serious, you're ready to change your life, you're ready to start making money, you're ready to start doing it consistently, and actually build a pipeline so you've got consistent deals coming in on a monthly basis. I mean, you're not going to find a better deal anywhere. I mean, you're plugging in directly to a live operating business, and you get the benefit of me and 30 years experience and me actually on the phone with you, with your buyers and sellers. And trust me when I tell you, they're not going to hit me with anything I haven't been hit with before and can't handle. Okay. I mean, I've just been through so many transactions that, you know, all the objections and all the whatever they come up with, it's like water off a duck's back, because I've been through all of it 1,000 times before easily. Okay. So hopefully that was beneficial. We went like way over. I apologize for that, but I feel like we got some good information out there and hopefully helped a lot of people. And, all right, Jerry says, get an owner finance interest only and sandwich it off to seller. Yeah, you can do that too. So you mean buyer? Yeah, right, exactly. That's you're talking about doing like an assignment deal. You could do that as well, and then that way you can be out of it. You just have to disclose up front, and that way you're not responsible for it, which would be a way to go. And then let him deal. It's his baby. Let him deal with it, however he wants to do it. Okay. All right. There are no other questions, guys. Listen, thanks for your time today. Hopefully it was beneficial. Let's go make some money. Have a great day.